wọ́n máa kálé wọn lọ́rùn, wọ́n á rin àrìn fẹsẹ̀ sí. Ọjọ́ tí ebi ń pa ọ̀nà, àwọn ọmọ ẹ máa rìn, wọ́n á rí alágbèédá, wọ́n á rí alágbàkò. Ṣé ní orí yín ti burú ni? Báyọ̀ and Tazan, àwọn ọmọ yín máa sún kirikiri. Every ìlú tẹ́ bá wà, the maximum jail òun làwọn ọmọ yín máa lọ. Lórí tẹ̀ ń rò, ayé yín ti bàjẹ́. What is your obsession with the Alobas? Why are you so hell-bent with the Alobas? What is your business with this family? But as you have spoken, so shall it be. For every issues you have, for every of your spirit, of your children, every fruit that comes from your lions, they will be they will be criminals, they will be jailed. Tí wọ́n bá rìn lọ títì, wọ́n máa kọ ogun alágbàkò. Don't think because you are abroad, you are wọ́n máa wà hypnotized. Evil will come near thy dwelling. Orí yín ti bàjẹ́, orí yín ti burú. Ó wà ń bẹ ìgbà tí Bọ́sẹ̀ fi ń ṣe kìnnìkan. A máa pe Abọ́sẹ̀dé bí ẹni pé ó wà ń bẹ ìgbà tó ń sọ Abọ́sẹ̀dé lórúkọ. Ṣé o ní crush on Abọ́sẹ̀dé ni? Àbírù wàhálà wo lélẹ́yìí Báyọ̀? Oníyàwó kì í sùn, ṣáà ń sùn tẹ́lẹ̀ ni. Why is it now just ó ti wá di breaking news fún yín? Kì í sùn tẹ́lẹ̀. You all know we don't sleep here. So why are you bothered about our sleep? Gbogbo nonsense tí Ògúngbè tó kọ, òun ni àwọ̀ òfin sùn. Orí yín mà ti bàjẹ́ o. Dayo Ògúngbè, this is the Bayo you listen to. This was the guy that you've allowed to destroy your 14 years of being a lawyer. Look at the humans you have listened to. These ones that are bottom barrels. These ones are the dredges of the earth. These are the ones you listen to. Àwọn kan tí ẹ fẹ́ lọ gbé bá adájọ́ lélẹ̀. So tí wọ́n bá substitute àwọn ẹbí, tí ìyàwó àti àbúrò bá substitute ara wọn for his case in court, ṣé Báyọ̀ ìwọ náà bá pè ní àbí wọ Tazan? Pè ní ayé yín ti bàjẹ́ o. The more tó ṣe ń gé yín lọ́wọ́ òun lẹ́ ń bọ̀rùka. Ayé yín ti bàjẹ́ pátápátá. Look at the way you're talking. That girl, you're so obsessed with Wunmi. You are so obsessed with Abọ́sẹ̀dé. Ayé yín ti bàjẹ́. Ṣé ẹ rí àwọn èèyàn tó kú rí ni? Ṣé ẹ rí àwọn èèyàn tó kú rí ni? Kí ló ń ṣe yín gan? You that you are telling the lawyer all bollocks. Mọ́jọ́ tán parí inquest. Is it even the 18th or the 11th? You have no clue. You have no idea. But you just come out and be spewing trash as if you were the duvet. Bí àwọn ní duvet tí wọ́n fi ń bora nílé Mohbad tó fi mọ̀ pé ìyẹn ń sunu storage. So as a married couple, I'm supposed to leave my bed because somebody is visiting me. Olórí burúkú ara ẹ. O mọ̀ pé babaláwo ló fẹ́. Mi ìbọn reason tẹ́ pé ọkọ babaláwo tí wọ́n fẹ́ tí wọ́n ti ṣògùn afọ́jú kan fọ́ ojú ẹ̀ dànùdànù kógunládé yọ ojú ẹ̀ jẹ olòṣì àṣà ló sì máa yọjú ẹ̀ wọ́n tẹ́ pé ó máa di tá ń wọlé last ni orí ẹ̀ ti burú. You will be talking with authority as if you all lived with these people prior to this guy's kpai. You speak with so much bollocks. Nǹkan tẹ́ bá dé ọ̀dọ̀ wèrè lọ́ọ̀yà yín nìyẹn tó fi ń sọ with great authority. With great authority, is no more business as usual. Who is it going to take the case to? Is it the same Nigerian police or a judge? You will take those foolishness, those 24 foolish pages you've wrote, and take it to a sitting judge. Kò ní mú ìwé yẹn kó fi gbá orí yín ti burú. Ènìyàn burú ẹ continue mi ò tí ráyè. Ibẹ̀ yẹn mo kàn fẹ́ sọ fún ayé àwọn méjèèjì ní pé àtàwọn tó jókòó tí wọn àtàwọn tó ń sọ àmì sí wọn pé àwọn ọmọ wọn máa ṣẹ̀wọ̀n. Àwọn ọmọ wọn máa rìn ìrìn àgbákò. Wọ́n máa kó bọ́wọ́bọ́wọ́ mọ́ àwọn ọmọ wọn lọ́wọ́. Wo ìyàwó Báyọ̀ ó jókòó síbẹ̀, ìwọ ló fòbò jóná. Ìwọ ló fòbò jóná. Báyọ̀ máa jẹ́ kó ṣàgùn alẹ́. Kò ń ṣe nísìnyí o, ó máa jẹ́ kó ṣe àgùn alẹ́ tẹ́pẹ́ máa ti tán fún ẹ. Kò ní síbi tó máa lọ mọ́. Jókòó síbẹ̀, let your husband be running mad. Future àwọn ọmọ inheritance wọn ó ti kó fún Alọ́ba. But continue. You think you are behind the camera, you're doing nonsense. Continue. You think the God that we serve, the father of the fatherless, ọkọ opó máa jókòó máa wò yín. You think you all get this madness? Continue. Èpè ló máa pa yín, èpè. ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ní mórí délé yìí gbogbo nǹkan tí ọjọ́ tí àwọn èèyàn bá ń ṣe rere ẹ̀ ní sínlé oore àwọn ọmọ yín wọ́n máa fi ṣàpínlé ni ẹ̀yin olórí burúkú àgbàràdàràdà. Look at them sitting down speaking with so much of them about a family that got nothing to do with them. Kí ló ń ṣe yín? Ó dẹ̀ ní ó máa ṣẹ̀wọ̀n ó máa sún kirikiri ẹ̀wọ̀n ò sùn níbẹ̀ yẹn àwọn ò kì í sùn tẹ́lẹ̀. Why should we sleep? A lè sùn kí la fẹ́ máa sùn fún ká lọ sùn kẹ́ lọ dáná sun ayé a lè sùn ní nísinmi continue jàre ìyá mi. When you are writing a letter, your own address is on the top right, the addressee is on the left, then you put it, dear sir or dear madam, then you put the topic, then you now start writing. Then tó bá ti kọ́ tán tó yẹ pé boyfriend jẹ́ ló fẹ́ kọ lẹ́tà sí, if so doxology ó lọ ṣí ọwọ́ ó kàwé ó kọ́pọlọ ó kọ́gbọ́n orí ó lọ ṣì ìwọ́n sọ pé ọ̀kan ò lè sọ òyìnbó ìjọba yọ̀ wá sọ òyìnbó olórí burúkú ààrẹ ó lè sọ òyìnbó ló ń ṣe gateman ní mall olórí burúkú ààrẹ ìwọ lè sọ òyìnbó kí ló kà ní university kí ló kà ní polytechnic how come you are just a megad ní mall tí ìbá ṣe pé kínní òpònú orí ẹ ti burú. Tell me the qualification you are using to work in America. America has so much opportunity for immigrants if you have the skills or the qualification. How come you are just a security guard on a roadside mall? Not even on a big mall, on a roadside mall. Àwọn ṣọ́ọ̀bù kékèké bíi Tesco, bíi Asda, bíi Target lólórí burúkú wèrè yìí. No, 7-Eleven ni wèrè yìí ti ń ṣe mega deal. Not even a big mall like Target or the rest of them. 7-Eleven ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń gbé l'Amẹ́ríkà mọ́ 7-Eleven ibẹ̀ ni wèrè tí ń ṣe 7-Eleven gan tún tóbi àwọn roadside mall shop not mall àwọn roadside 24 hours shop táwọn paki ti ń ta ọjà ó ní wèrè yìí tí ń ṣe gateman fún wọn olórí burúkú arẹwà léèyàn kan ò kàwé kí ni ìwọ kà olòṣì olórí burúkú orí gíẹgíẹ ó ti gbẹ tán ó dàbí bonga fish lórí ọ̀rọ̀ ọlọ́rọ̀ Abọ́sẹ̀dé a máa pariwo Abọ́sẹ̀dé orí ẹ̀ ti burú olòṣì ó ń crush on Abọ́sẹ̀dé èèyàn ló ní kíyàwó ẹ gbẹ bí ẹja panla gan tún lára bonga fish níyàwó ẹ ṣe rí ó ti wo gbogbo woman yẹn ó ti wo látòkè délẹ̀ ó lè ṣe you are so conversations kí ni Bíbélì sọ is part of the 10 commandments. Ìwọ kò gbọdọ̀ ṣojú kòkòrò ojú kòkòrò ló ń dẹ̀ láàmú olòṣì alára gbígbẹ ìyàwó ẹ̀ náà dàbí ọbẹ̀ rẹ̀ lé tán bá gbéyàwó ẹ̀ sẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ wọ́ọ̀lù ó máa rá wọ́ọ̀lù yẹn ni kò ní dá fún ẹ kò ní dá fún ìyẹ́ ẹ olórí burúkú ààrẹ tí ẹ bá ti kú kò ní dá fún tó bá sì wà láyé kò ní jẹun wọn mọ́ olórí burúkú oníranù ẹ jẹ́ máa pariwo Abọ́sẹ̀dé ẹni aburú ẹ continue jàre. Báyọ̀ wàá lọ bèrè tó bí ayé ẹ̀ tẹ̀ ti bàjẹ́ náà so kò sí remedy fàyè ẹ̀ your life is messed up your life is so messed up you're so full of wickedness your mind you are deranged ṣé òun lo nǹkan ni you're deranged ayé ẹ̀ ti bàjẹ́ lórí burúkú a máa pariwo Abọ́sẹ̀dé ni ò jẹ́ kó ṣe kinní kan Abọ́sẹ̀dé ni ò jẹ́ kó ṣe kinní kan Abọ́sẹ̀dé ìwọ ló mọjọ́ túmọ̀ ẹ̀ jàmàlà olórí burúkú alára òṣì ayé ẹ̀ ti bàjẹ́ ó já lọ wá solution sọ̀rọ̀ ayé ẹ̀ Abọ́sẹ̀dé kọ́ ló kó bẹ́ẹ̀ o òun kọ́ ló ní kó lọ kọ́ ogún àwọn ọmọ ẹ̀ fún jòsí o ìwọ ló wo sùnsùn tó ní ayé ẹ̀ bàjẹ́ olóhùn wá fádà kiri o ìwọ ló sọ pé òun wá fádà kiri you fatherless vagabond àbí kí náà ń pélé yín sìn Abọ́sẹ̀dé máa káwọn ọmọ ẹ̀ á kó lọ sílé ọmọ ẹ̀ ó wá lọ ń sunú studio ó lọ ń sunú storage ó lọ ń ṣe kinní kan àwọn ogun tí àwọn tó ń ṣọ́yàn káàṣọ́ òun ni irú kéèsì Báyọ̀ because he knows everything that was going on ó mú oúnjẹ tó ń jẹ láàárọ̀ ó mọ position tó fi ń sùn ó mọ aṣọ tó fi ń bora because òun ló fi mọ̀ pé lẹ́ẹ̀lẹ́ ilé ọmọ ẹ̀ ló ń sùn sí Ayé ẹ ti bàjẹ́. You put so much interest in another person's issue. Ó wá ní páyé ò ní bàjẹ́. Ibi tó ti ń ṣọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ lọ́rọ̀ àwòdì ti gbá wọn mọ̀ tiẹ̀ lọ. Olórí burúkú ara ẹ. Wọ́n ò tí padà wá ní prof. Convenient corner shop lólórí burúkú ara ẹ tí ń ṣe kínní. Olóṣì. Police cannot help them with the lacunas. Tana wá fẹ́ gbẹ́jọ́ lọ fún. Ẹni Olúwa dálẹ́jọ́ tó lóhùn ògbà tó ń fapá jánu. Káwo bí tó máa gbẹ́jọ́ lọ. Bóyá ènìyàn burú máa kọrin yẹn fún wa. Wọ́n bá gbó bí ajá kan kùn bí àgbò. Bàbá ti ṣèyí náà. Wọ́n bá di júmọ́rí kí wọ́n gbébọn yọ̀dẹ. Bàbá ti dá wa láre. Àwa ti dàràbà ti dìdí ńlá. Ayé ẹ ti bàjẹ́ wèrè. Olóṣì alára gbígbẹ. Ẹ jẹ́ bá wa táàpù profusely. Ẹ forí báyẹ̀ fi táàpù kórí máa fọ́ níbi tó wà yẹn. Kí orí máa fọ́ Báyọ̀ kí wọ́n gbé gbá òṣèlé Báyọ̀ lórí. Ẹjọ́ Abọ́sẹ̀dé tó yẹ pé babaláwo lọ́kọ yín lóòótọ́. Ẹ jẹ́ bá gbé gbá òṣèlé Báyọ̀ lórí kó kúnlẹ̀ síbẹ̀ kó máa pọ owó. Ẹ bá wa táàpù. Ẹ forí Báyọ̀ ẹ forí ẹ̀ táàpù. Kẹ́fọ̀rí ba kó máa kígbe yé. Abẹ́ ẹ̀rọ lọ́hùn. He is so deluded. I have never seen this level of madness before. The way he's so obsessed with Abosede. Kò yé mi rírú ẹ̀ rí. Abosede náà ṣe. Abẹ́ẹ̀rí nǹkan. Ènìyàn burú ṣe ti padà dé jàre. Ẹ bá kọ́kọ́ kọ orin kí orí Báyọ̀ dàrú. Wọ́n bá gbó bí ajá kan kùn bí àgbò. Bàbá ti ṣe èyí náà. Sànní Adé ló kọ. Ẹni Olúwa dálẹ́jọ́ tó lóhùn ògbà tó ń fapá jánu. Wo mo ráyè tiẹ̀ lónìí ó di létà fún ẹ. Wèrè olóṣì ọwọ́ ẹ.
Ayé kí ló ṣe ìyá ẹ? Ayé ìyá ẹ bàjẹ́, gbogbo years tó ń lò ní Amẹ́ríkà yẹn is wasted. Kí ló ṣe ẹ́? What is on behalf of a lawyer? They are writing on behalf of a lawyer. Báyọ̀, life ẹ kàn wà wretched. Ó wà wretched in every aspect of life. If it is if it is a working system, they will have been facing his this thing. Wọ́n ti pè síwájú àwọn àgbààgbà judge kó wá sọ nǹkan tó rí lọ́bẹ̀ tó fi wá ru ọwọ́. Ayé ẹ ti bàjẹ́ wá ní wọ́n write on behalf of a lawyer. Which lawyer? Whose lawyer? Why is your brain so empty? And you want to use this brain to train your children. Wọ́n ṣáná àwọn ọmọ ẹ̀ máa kàgbá kó wọ́n máa kú sẹ́wọ̀n ní last anyway. So continue your madness. Onírọ́ òṣì ẹ bó ṣe parọ́. Àwọn tí ò kí wá sórí platform wa tẹ́lẹ̀ òun la lọ pè wá. Orípa ayé ẹ ti tán, ayé ẹ ti rún jégé. Who was on the panel that is not part of this panel? Etí ọ̀tẹ̀, ojú ọ̀tẹ̀, òun lè máa fi ń wo nǹkan. Ayé yín ti bàjẹ́. Ní ọpọlọ rárá. Who was on that panel that day that was not part of this platform? Bloody nuisance. On behalf of a lawyer. Send school to me. Wọ́n máa bẹ drag ẹ̀ sọ̀kalẹ̀, wọ́n á fi wé orí ẹ̀. Wò ó tí màwọn wèrè tó bá tò pọ̀. Wèrè pọ́nbélé òun làwọn fífò yẹn. Tó o bá mọ̀ jẹ́ kí n tètè já ẹ sí. Wèrè pọ́nbélé, wèrè wọn ó bugi jẹ. Ṣé ìgbà tán bá máa drag ẹ̀, ìyá ẹ̀ àti bàbá ẹ̀ tó wà ní Kútọ́nù, wọ́n máa bẹ́ gbé wọn síta. Ó fi sórí bí orí àgámá lizard yẹn. Bloody undescended clothes idiot. Continue jàre ènìyàn burú.
Since ká nípa lọ sùn.
Ẹ tó jí báyìí, ẹ̀rẹ̀ ti dáná fún. Kí ló dé?
What happened?
What's happening? Di mama.
Don't do that shit, bro. Bro, don't do that shit, bro.
àwọn tí ń dú dáàṣì o dáàṣì yẹn gan tẹ̀ tí wàá pọ̀ ju dáà kínní lọ báyìí nísìn.
kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀?
ẹ fi time.
kí ló dé? ṣáà ní lọ pé kíní sí yín báyìí, àwọn ọlá máa pè sí wọn báyìí.
àní mo máa ń rò kinní kan pé
ta ó ń lẹ̀ la máa pè
gbogbo wa
sí
kan
wọn
sùn
báyìí.
jọ kankan jí kó mọ̀ sí social media mọ́.
ó máa bẹ́tà.
kakàn jí kankan ní o social media ìyá kanṣu o.
ó máa bẹ́ bí àyẹn máa bẹ́tà.
mẹyọ
kò sí tán pé dọ́dọ̀ nàìjà tí wọn kì í misuse.
OSB2 èrò máa kún OSB2 ni.
bóyá
ẹlòmí
àyẹn náà
kọ́ra
máa
wọn ní kí bẹ́ẹ̀dì fẹ́ lòmí ilẹ̀ ilẹ̀ náà
bóyá náà máa fi rí ìwòsàn tán ní.
motion yẹn.
ẹ wò ó bóyá ìyẹn náà máa fi rí ìwòsàn tán need because ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wọn nídìí abẹ́rẹ́ wọn ò dẹ̀ kí ń lọ gbà á. so
social media ti wá sọ ẹlòmíì di wèrè tó jẹ́ pé ẹlòmíì ò lè dá inú rò mọ́.
kóòtù àṣìpalàwà kóòtù àṣìpa ní social media, so ibi náà ti máa ro ẹjọ́ ẹbí wọn, ẹbí nǹkan tí ò kàn wá, wọ́n ti sọ wá di family, wọ́n ti sọ wá di online family, àtẹ tó kàn wá tẹ tí ò kàn wá náà ń gbé sí wa láyà.
àwọn òde kúkú hàn yín nígbà tí ìyípa tọ́ bọ̀ yín lẹ́nu.
ìyàbí a máa fi wọ́n sọ oúnjẹ fi gbálẹ̀ fi ṣiṣẹ́.
a máa listing.
we listen. If we need to judge, we judge. àbí kò jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ, ẹ̀yin lẹgbẹ́ bí yín wá.
a listing a dẹ̀ láàfù ẹ̀.
kò jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ.
ìtẹ́lá jókòó.
because àwọn àgbàlagbà tí wọ́n dẹ́kun tí wọ́n rọ.
àgbàlagbà lè yí òmẹjọ dá ẹgbẹ́ wa bá wà.
kò jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ ìyá mi.
kí ló dé?
kí wàá la wá míìsì báyìí torí Ọlọ́run. ṣé wọ́n ti fọ́ra wọn lórí ni lórí.
ẹ ti dọ́jú búlẹ̀tì tààrọ̀ yìí bẹ́ẹ̀ mi ṣe máa sọ nìyẹn tí bá jí tó wá ní ẹ ti miss bá ní ẹ wò ó mo dọ́jú búlẹ̀tì tààrọ̀ yìí.
kò sí respect mọ́, òtítọ́ ò nílé mọ́, gbogbo ẹ ti bàjẹ́, ayé ti dorí kodò torí social media. àgbẹ̀dẹ̀ ṣe sọ lóòótọ́ black cap yìí ló worse, bóyá ọ̀dọ̀ náà ṣe sọ ní black cap. orílẹ̀ àwọn àjẹ́ òun ní black cap yìí.
because ẹ mọ̀ pé òun fún wọn ní ààyè for multiple people láti máa sọ̀rọ̀ at once.
wọ́n á dẹ̀ lè gbéra wọn, wọ́n á lè rojú ara wọn.
tó fi rí bó ṣe rí torí bó ṣe rí yìí ò dáa.
ó mà ṣe o, ayé ti di òbírípo.
ìyá fẹ́ bọ́
wọn á fẹ́ ṣe báyìí.
ọmọ fẹ́ bú yẹ orí TikTok.
orí social media ni.
èyí tó fẹ́ tọwọ́ bọ̀ dí gan orí TikTok.
social media ni.
àwọn tó máa kó bá jiná tù fún àwọn tó máa ṣe pàpàpà ṣú pé wọ́n ń ṣe lórí
TikTok ni.
àwa náà dẹ̀ láwọn ọmọ kéékèèké tó ní access sí kinní.
olùdásílẹ̀ TikTok gan ni kí ni mo ṣe yìí fún. a ní kí ló ń ṣe yìí fún. anything tó bá ti dọ́wọ́ nàìjà tó ń bá ti bàjẹ́ kan wá regulate ẹ̀, ara wọn ò kí ń balẹ̀, ṣebí wọ́n á tún gba òun ọ lọ́wọ́. anything ní ìmọ̀ kan tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ṣé àólẹ̀ tán ni wọ́n ṣẹ̀ ni a máa lọ bẹ̀ bá àbí ta ni.
monetization dẹ̀ sọ àwọn èèyàn di wèrè.
ìyẹn gangan ni kókó tó wọ́n fẹ́ mèkì owó, àwọn lazy bunch.
ẹ ti rẹ́ni tó ń lọ ibi iṣẹ́ tó níṣẹ́ lápá kọ́ dẹ̀ resign torí monetization.
bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
wọ́n dẹ̀ ní lọ ibi iṣẹ́ mọ́.
ṣèbí tó bá yá tó máa ti ká ń lẹ̀ wọ́n dẹ̀ máa gbé.
àwọn òpè ṣé tó bá palẹ̀ mọ́ ṣé báyìí náà lẹ̀ ṣe gbèsè ayé tẹ fẹ́ máa gbé lọ rè. kò sí nǹkan tó burú tó bá ń get extra money tó bá ní side of.
wọ́n ti ń tọrọ jẹ.
bọ́kẹ́ bá fọ TikTok díṣẹ́ gangan.
Tertiary pressure. The main problem of Nigeria is the people in diaspora. The people in diaspora are the main problem of Nigeria.
Àwọn ni o, wàhálà yẹn parọ́ àwọn ni.
Ayé tí wọn ò jẹ, òṣì tí wọn ò lè ṣe nílùú tán wà.
Wọ́n wá ya wèrè sí.
Tán bá ti ṣe $100.
Lóṣù.
Tán ti pín fún èèyàn bíi 4, wọ́n á máa jọba lé wọn lórí.
Wọ́n sọ wọ́n dẹrú.
Wọ́n á sọ wọ́n dẹrú. Àwọn náà máa kọ́ àwọn èèyàn kan ló máa búyàn, àwọn náà máa tó oríṣiríṣi, àwọn wá relax, wọ́n wá sọ di movie, àwọn máa wò, wọ́n máa fi.
Ìmájì àwọn ìyàwó ilé abọ́ta ìwọ náà kíní kan ló ní kí n lọ drag kíní kan tí ó ṣe.
Ẹ lè imagine àwọn tó dẹ̀ rán wọn iṣẹ́ wọn máa fi yẹn wáǹkì.
wọ́n wá rán wọn iṣẹ́ dé tòrutòru wọ́n wá joyè ọmọ orogun tí ò mọṣẹ́ kọ̀ nìkan ló ní kí n lọ bù.
It's really bad. Ìwọ tó ń bá ránṣẹ́ tó ya ọpọlọ ẹ̀ ọ̀yọ́ ló wà ó.
ó ṣe fọ́mọ́ wù mí káàtì bá wa náà káàtì kó mẹ́lọ̀ láì.
Tẹ̀bí tó jẹ́ kí n ṣí TikTok nìyẹn.
wàhálà ọ̀pọ̀ àwọn tó ń bú ọmọ wù mí tẹ bá bí wọ́n pé kí ni justice of Mohbad gangan ọmọ o.
Wọn mọ̀.
di only ti tán mọ̀ ni pé ó ṣà ń bú yàn káwọn náà wá bá wọn bú.
Wọn mọ tó ń ṣe ọmọ nǹkan tó ń pè ní justice ni. Nígbà tí wèrè Báyọ̀ tó ń ti fi ẹlẹ́dàá ẹ̀ àti ìṣẹ̀dá àwọn ọmọ Ẹ̀gbá parọ̀ kó máa ní torí òwèrè alí Bọ́sẹ̀ Alámàlà ń sun ilẹ̀ ńlẹ̀ lójú ọmọ ẹ̀ ìyẹn ni justice ti Báyọ̀ wá.
justice of Mohbad wọn mọ ọkọ ṣáà náà kàn bú yàn.
ti Báyọ̀ mẹgáàdì l'Amẹ́ríkà olódo ọ̀pọ̀ntàtì akúmámọ̀ dídí ó ga ọ.
ọmọ tó
owó ní ẹ̀ka lóbì.
wọ́n wá rá wọn àwọn ìṣúná ẹlẹ́lẹ́yà lórí TikTok. ó tẹ̀ dúpẹ́ ìyá kan náà fún mi náà. ní pẹ́pẹ́ mú bẹ̀.
It is well though. It is well. Ẹ̀yin ará UK. There was a...
ṣe ń download kìíní fún àwọn ìyá yín. ọ̀dà 10 ní kẹ́ mọ́ fi sí kíní wọn tẹ́ bá ti fẹ́ download ẹ̀ so tí ó bá mọ́ gbé wọn lọ wọ́n bá ti ṣí TikTok ibi dèbí ṣá dúdú ló wà máa gbé wọn lọ.
wọ́n máa gbé wọn lọ.
dáadáa ló wá ń ṣe lórí TikTok.
ṣe gbọ́ ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ṣì ní ìyàwó ẹ̀yin tẹ́ bá fẹ́ download TikTok fáwọn ìyá yín o.
wọ́n máa bá wọn níbi kókó mẹ́lọ ni.
wọ́n ní ẹ má download tàgbàlagbà fún wọn pé because bóyá àwọn ìyá wọn.
àgbà tẹ́lẹ̀ ló mọ ń dọmọ kékeré náà ni.
Exactly. Their brain wọ́n ti ń wà regress.
kí ló dé. ọmọjúmọ́ kan wèrè kan.
má ṣe o. ẹ̀yin ará UK, did you all see the story about 3 sisters tó ń ná rí nínú omi?
àwọn sùlù láì ní ọ̀sẹ̀ tó náà ṣe.
ní àárọ̀ kùtùkùtù láago 5 fully clothed nínú body of water. Wọ́n kúrò nílé wọn. Well, according to nǹkan tọ́lọ́pàá ń sọ, wọ́n ní àwọn ò rí foul play. Wọ́n kúrò nílé wọn, wọ́n drive lọ sí another town. Wọ́n wá rí wọn nínú omi. Wọ́n ti kú, ọmọ ìyá mẹ́ta. Did you all see the story, UK people? So police are saying there is no foul play. There is no baba wọn ní ọmọ kan tó ṣẹlẹ̀. There is no foul play at the moment, according to police. These ladies were 36, 30, 34, and 32 years old ladies. And bí àwọn náà dẹ̀ ṣe kú nìyẹn, ìyá wọn náà lọ parẹ́ sínú omi. So ní 2010. So àwọn kan believe pé bóyá wọ́n fẹ́ lọ pay tribute fún ìyá wọn tó kú. Làwọn mẹ́tẹ̀ẹ̀ta wá kó sínú omi. Àbí ṣọmọ omi ni wọ́n ní tí wọ́n ṣe. To me, I think it's suspicious. PJ, you're right. But 3 sisters the same time? Yeah, in Brighton Beach. They live in where is it called? What's the after Hounslow in Tebamo, London, close to Heathrow? So drove all the way near kutu. Nǹkan tẹ́mi náà kọ́kọ́ rò nìyẹn ìyàwó Ìbàdàn pé àbí màmí wọ̀ta ni wọ́n ní bóyá ó ní nǹkan tí wọ́n ń sìn ní ẹbí wọn. No, in Oxbridge, yeah, thank you. Oxbridge is not Essex. Bóyá ó ní tó ń sìn. Yeah, but baby soft, at that time of the morning, they left their house, they got to the beach, They said they got to the beach about 5 a.m. and they were seen about 5:45. Mẹ́tẹ̀ẹ̀ta. Ṣé nǹkan tó fà wọ́n lọ síbẹ̀? Not one, not two, the three of them. And you know, in the last few years, a lot of black people, now I'm not putting race into it or anything, a lot of black young ladies have been found in the body of water. If you look at the last 15 years, a lot of young black ladies have been found in the body of water. And yes,
so bóyá àwọn ancestor wọn ní í ṣe pẹ̀lú mi.
I understand what you're saying, Sister Baby Soft. But what I'm saying is, at that time of the morning, cold, in that cold, me Brighton, they didn't go for a night. Did they go for a night out? They now said, okay, well, come on. Have you been to Brighton Beach? Because the way bó ṣe máa kọjá tó máa fi débi tí wọ́n náà ti rí wọn yẹn, it's not clear. Yeah, that's the thing. Brighton Beach is not like a normal beach. Like people are shaking. Give a summary of the reporting says. Okay. I'm still sort of confused, to be honest. But because of situation that has been going on with our Java Baby Soft was okay. Self-care, do you mean black people can't swim compared to Oyinbo, or Oyinbo can swim better than a lot of us? Tó bá jẹ́ ọ̀sán, or tó bá jẹ́ ìrọ̀lẹ́, or if it was a weekend, maybe it was a Friday night, they went for a drink and maybe they got drunk and that happened, it would have make sense to me. But on a week, it was a Wednesday morning, they left their house. Oxbridge to Brighton is over an hour drive, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's possible, but the question is, what were they doing there at that time of the morning? Kí lẹ sọ? So what the police were saying was they got to the beach about 5 a.m. and the first person that saw them was at 5:45 a.m. Saw one of them, called for help, and it was when they dived in to retrieve this one body, that's when they now realized there are two more bodies. So it was 45 minutes between them getting to the beach and they've been taken out of the water. They were fully clothed. They live in Oxbridge and they were found in the body of water in Brighton Beach.
Okay.
And
So let me give you like an
go on.
please.
No, and what is just look, according to what one of the stories were saying, it was their mom was found in the body of water in Birmingham 16 years ago. She too she drowned. So now 16 years later, is it that they're trying to pay homage in that time of the morning, or was there something that is more spiritually inclined? Because if you look at it physically, personally, it doesn't make sense for we as black people generally leaving home at 5 a.m. to go to the water, except maybe they are like white garment church people that goes to pray at the water, but just going there fully clothed, going to the beach. And Browns, okay, it looks dicey for me. That's why I'm not saying there is, to me, it's not clear. Yeah, go on.
Mayor, let me give you an example. So I live in the suburbs, yeah? And I'm near a seaside. Now, the thing is, should we become and be seaside in that we go for a stroll? And we go for that stroll to the way we won't walk on almost like dry land because the water has receded or moved back. Now, sometimes if you are not careful and the tide comes in, you will be caught off and you will actually be in the middle of that sea without realizing you're in the middle of the sea. So it's possible that, first of all, that time of the day, it's a bit weird. However, if they don't know that beach very well, they might assume they're on dry land when they're not on dry land. So, for example, where I live, I know that that place is not dry land because I live in the area. Does that make sense? Because there are times, even there was a time that we had a very bad, like 2 or 3 years ago, that the sea overflew its, money overflew over whatever its banks. And it actually came even to the roads as in to the roads, proper roads. So I know that if people are not familiar with an area, they might go for a stroll thinking they're on dry land. Actually, you're actually in the sea. It's just that the water has gone back. Another example is about 3 weeks ago, I went with my hubby to Folkestone. So there's a nice place in Folkestone where you can listen to like live music, and there's a jazzy sort of thing. Do you know that Ibenye, Omiye is just bars, but I can tell you that when we drove in and parked, the boats and the yachts, they were all on dry land. They were on dry land. Do you know, by the time we left in about 2 hours, those yachts and the boats were all floating again, which means the tide had come in. Because I remember going, when we first got into the place, I was saying to my husband, and even my sister-in-law was with us, and her husband, I was like, oh, wow, these people, what's the point of this yacht they own? Because it's on dry land, it's stuck. And they were like, yeah, but if the tide comes in, it will choke it. So before we left the place, they were floating again because the tide had come in. So I feel that maybe the tide came in and they thought they were on dry land. And the tide especially if you can't swim. Even if you can swim, it depends on how much distance you want to swim back to shore. So that place we go to for a stroll, sometimes when we have visitors, we take them there just to show them. But we're always saying, this place we're on is just that water till saying we have to be very careful. You can't go into extent, because if the tide comes, mamu wamobeni. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. But I understand what you're saying, honestly, perfectly well. I've been to most of the beaches in England. But my question was, 3 siblings, that time of the morning, they were not young springs, they're not like teenagers. The 3 of them are in their 30s, decided to leave their house. The distance between Oxbridge to Brighton is over an hour drive if we're saying they drove. To go to that beach at that time of the morning, and by 45 minutes, yes, the tide could have come. They could have said, let's go for a walk and just think about what's happening.
That time of the morning, I'm agreeing it's strange, Mayor. I'm agreeing it's strange. That 3 of them would leave. I wonder if it's a pact, but I don't want to assume on the, because we're just being sympathetic to their families. Because sometimes when people go through bereavement, they don't really generally, some people don't recover from it. Because you might think, their mom was 16 years ago, but the question is, did they really recover? Was it around the anniversary of the mother's passing? Is it just coincidental? She'll get to Kotimonso.
Yeah.
But that time, I wouldn't go at that time of the morning, rather to a seaside or a water. No, at that time of the morning. But we have brighter summers now. So I wonder why they would go at that time. It's still 5 a.m., but...
Yeah.
Mayor, and on that very day, I don't think any black person will want to go to the beach at that time because it was cold.
Yeah.
Even Oyibo wouldn't want to go to the beach around that time because it was cold on that day. That's why people are questioning it. And it's been there has been an evidence of institutional racism within the police. There's been evidence of that. There's been evidence of that within the police.
Baby Socks, you're still talking, but your TikTok is messing up.
So like I was saying, there's been evidence of institutional racism.
Let me just calm down. They've taken it from me.
In recent times, that they don't really take, if anything happens to a person of color, they don't really take it serious. Because how can you say the investigation is still open and you just decided to say there's no,
no foul play.
There's no foul play. So, and if you look at the history, there's been a thread of this thing going on.
Exactly.
the black women. And that has always been the final result. There is no foul play. So that's why people are questioning this now. Even if there's no foul play, let us know. Brighton, that side, CCTV were all along that place. They haven't told us anything they found. Oh, so for CCTV, boya anybody really want there's just nothing. I mean, the only thing we just know was that okay, one okuro only on drive, our met I want lost and the next thing, and they thought it was just one person at the end of the day, but to rescue one repair or metani. That was all we know, and that's why people are suspecting. And the news is not even on the media until when people started shouting. Imagine if it is a white person, it would be all over the place. But it wasn't on the media. It was only on Instagram until Shola Mos that was when they started saying it on the media, which is quite bad. I mean, we're not saying it can't happen that way. It can happen. It can be suicide. It can be anything. But then don't just come out to say not suspicious. It's not. I mean, it seems they haven't really done anything about. They haven't really done much investigation, because if you say it's opened and you just decided to say, well, it's not suspicious, but there's nothing for any evidence to say that. Compare it to a white person. Compare it to that white lady to lossy school to lossy park to read dog. Compare it to that.
Yeah.
See how that one was on the media all through. Titito Fury. But this one, it was only on Instagram. How many people got low share on Instagram? And 3. I mean, think about it. 3 people, the same father from the same house, and it wasn't on the media. And there has been evidence of institutional racism over within the police. There has been evidence of it. So that's why people are worried about it. Because, I mean, it's just funny. Okay, let's even say they went to pay homage. Birmingham, I want to now, not Brighton. How can the 3 of them leave home 5 a.m. in the morning to go and pay homage? Let's say it's this weekend now. I might even say, okay, well, it's possible. But at that time, fully clothed, no.
Yeah, for some of us saying that white people that fight, yes, that doesn't make media. But if you look at the percentage of Bobodudu in the UK, we are barely 3%. And if 3 people from the same mother, from the same household, goes into the body of water, and if you've lived in UK for some time, most ladies that have kpai, most young ladies that have kpai in UK have been found in the body of water. So 3 people, 3 ladies found like that should make media. That is a lot. If you look at the percentage of 3% of over 60 million people, and 3 people from one household decided to go to, were found. Let me not say they decided, because we are not sure. If they were found inside water, that is a lot. So it should be making the media. And if it is something, okay, you saw it in BBC, I did things. If it is something, then it's for us to be more careful. And one of our sisters there said, they were brought up abroad, their mentality is different from Nigeria. These are not teenagers. Their ages were 36, 34, and 32 years old. So they are not children or brain that are still growing. These are women. You know what I'm saying? They are grown women. And why I brought it up is because just to sound warning to us, for our ladies, our men, especially for people that are just coming to the UK, to be very, very careful. Please be very, very careful. This has been happening for some time. It doesn't make media. So it makes it, the danger of it not making media is for people to have this false sense of safety. Sometimes we might think this place is very safe because the
evils that abound is not being propagated, is not in the media. But if we understand that, okay, like Baby Soft Life have said that there are times if you're walking on the beach, you're on dry land, and the next minute, tide has come, it has covered everywhere. Is a learning point for us. And if it is more spiritual, it is still a learning curve for us. As much as, yes, they could be born and brought up here. I want you not to be more 30, 40 something, maybe now, so sometimes we can't always excuse things because of where we were born. Yeah, if it's the fact that they make a pact, it will make more sense. It will be like, okay, it's understandable. They couldn't deal with their grief. They've decided to like, okay, we don't want to live without each other. Let's all just go end it. It will make more sense. But just saying that three young ladies, in their 30s, decided to leave their house, walk to the beach, not walk from their house, or drove to the beach fully clothed, their hair on, makeup on, at 5 a.m. in the morning. It speaks volume. This is my own angle. I'm not bringing any theory. I'm not doing any conspiracy. I'm just like, for us to be more careful. We are in, the times are evil, you know. The times are evil, but it doesn't make sense. Exactly. It's about black. Thank you, Bibi Oni. You got what I'm trying to say. If you've looked in the last 15, 20 years, àwọn dúdú tí wọ́n really know me for our population is a lot.
It is. It's
It
a
is
lot.
a lot.
It's
You
a
know,
lot.
so we saying that evil can, yeah, for 3% of over 60 million people. It's because it's because most dúdú ń gbé ní London la ṣe feel pé àpọ̀ tó àwọn Asians gan nílùú
We're
yìí.
just 3%.
We are just 3%. So it is really troubling. It is a cause for concern. And it is something that we should be asking questions. And if it is just for us to use 5 minutes to sound warning for us and to speak to our children and our nieces and nephews and all those things, it is still something. We can't just sort of sweep it under the carpet and say that, oh, well, it is what it is. It is a lot. 3 ladies from one home. And it is true that way. My mother's lineage, they worship water. So I can look at it in that aspect as well. Ọmọ mi ni wọ́n, you know, it could be because that is the way their mother left, even though they count it as mental health issue. But for people that understand some of these orisha and things that people worship from their background, there are some things that your families are supposed to do. Yes, we are Christians, we are Muslim, we are this, but there are some things that people are not telling their offspring anymore, that in this family, when you get to a certain age, there are things you must do. In this family, when you get to a certain age, there are things you must do. I think we've lost ọ̀làjú tí jẹ́ kí gbogbo yẹn kúrò. And if you're not strong in your faith, because if you look at the age their mother left as well, is around about the same age. So sometimes when we look at physical, we should look at the spiritual aspect of things as well, thinking that is it a pact on their part? Yeah. But yeah, it could be, but 5 a.m. fún obìnrin dúdú.
And do you know why it's even worrisome? Okay, now, normally, if things like this happen, you hear from the news that, okay, they drove a car to this place, they saw the car, they saw this, they saw that. There was nothing like
Nothing.
that. We didn't
Absolutely
hear anything
nothing.
about that. We don't know how they got there. Nobody knew, nothing. And how can you tell me police investigated and you can't tell us anything about that? Nothing. The only thing we know was that they pulled their bodies out of the water. That was all.
Yeah.
And they live in Oxbridge. And they were found in
In
Brighton.
Brighton. Even during peak of summer, tẹ́ bá lọ sí Brighton, yẹ kẹ́ lọ ní July, tẹ́ bá wà níbi òkè yẹn, ó máa ṣì tutù. when you're getting close to the sea, not to now talk of May at 5 a.m. Ah, yeah, escapade. Yeah, we know investigation is ongoing, blah, blah, blah. But from what has been happening, from the histories and all that, especially for black young ladies that have been found in the body of water, the next thing is we won't hear anything again. No, 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 no. I'm not putting it to discrimination. I'm just putting it to like what is actually going on. You know, what is actually going on. The truth is, see if the Met Police or Scotland Yard or whichever one it is wants to do something. I remember, was it in 2000 or 2001? Tí wọ́n rí body ọmọ kan nínú, was it in Thames Water? Ọmọ yẹn ò ní orí, kò ní ẹsẹ̀,
Yeah,
ní orí kankan.
yeah.
They went as far as West Africa. They went to Nigeria. They went to some to Cameroon and those places to know where this child came from. So they really, really went all out to try to know if, but because there was no, so I don't know if people know this story. So one fateful day, one torso, kí ni torso ní Yorùbá? Àyà ọmọ, wọ́n ti gé orí, wọ́n ti gé apá, wọ́n ti gé ẹsẹ̀, wọ́n rí nínú omi. Kò sí bí wọ́n ṣe lè identify ẹ̀, but wọ́n mọ̀ pé ọmọ dúdú ni. Kí náà fi mọ̀ pé wọ́n mọ̀ pé wá láti West Africa because content oúnjẹ tó ṣì wà nínú ẹ̀. Aṣọ ṣòkòtò péńpé ló ṣì wà lára ẹ̀. So they actually went all out for the investigation. They were able to like know this child comes from West Africa. They went to Nigerian police. They went to all this here in River Thames. They went to people to like, okay, ṣé ọmọ wọn sọnù? And because there was no data like it is now, so they are believing it was a ritual. Wọ́n mọ̀ ọmọ yẹn wọlé, wọ́n fi wá ṣe ìrúbọ ni, you know, and the case is still open as far as Met Police is concerned, but they really, really went all out for this investigation. And but if you look at the young black ladies that have been found in the body of water in the last few years, these women are usually between the ages of early 20s to early 30s, and after some times, Oman died down. But why this? It will just die down. And why this is really troubling is because they are siblings. Their mother went the same way, even though they said their mother had a mental health issue. Maybe, you know, some mental health issue is hereditary, and they could be dealing with stuff that nobody knows. It's just that it's a bit dicey, it's a bit scary that I feel sorry for their father anyway. It's not to overflog it, but it's just for us to like the odds. Yeah, escapade. We said that earlier. It was one body that was found initially, and it was when they tried to retrieve the body. No, méjì ṣì wà nínú ẹ̀, you know. So, yeah, please. Ọlọ́run á fi oríjì òkú ọ̀run, ó máa pa ìṣedédé wọn rẹ́, and our condolences to their father, you know. But it's just that it's scary, it's crazy, it's, I don't know. Anyway.
It is.
Yeah, that's the thing. We just have to be careful. That's why I'm saying that I'm saying inside so that people can be more careful, you know. We need to really, really, really be careful. And also, people believe we are in the UK, o lè jáde lágo méjì òru, kò sí nǹkan tó máa ṣẹlẹ̀. Evil abounds. There are a lot of sick people around. We shouldn't have this false sense of safety when anything can happen at any time.
I mean, most especially at this period with everything going on politically in the UK now. I think people of color will need to be very, very careful, because if you look at it in recent days, you would have noticed that, yeah, the racism that we thought don't really have in the UK, there is, whether we like it or not. And there's a lot of them, honestly. When you see them speak, when you comment online, at this point in time now,
They are
you
more
will know.
bold than they used to be
We
as well.
have to be very, very careful. We have to be. Because if somebody that has won as a councillor could have said a lot of
They should
Nigerian
melt.
people in the UK now, and he thinks they should be melted to fill the bottles, and that person
Baby
has
Supply,
become
did you hear
councillor
about
now.
that one?
Obviously, they are speaking out their mind,
Yeah.
and it's
Did
not the
you?
only one. A whole lot of them said so many things about people of color. A whole lot of them.
Escape, did you
So
hear about that one? We know tribalism and discrimination is worse in Nigeria, we know. But the thing is, for the British society, we've always been assured of safety and all those things. So if a member of there is seeking a seat and in an area tí wọ́n ti ní a lot of dúdú tó fi lè bọ́ta boldly tó sọ pé kí wọ́n kó gbogbo àwọn Naija kán melt wọn sínú pot kán melt wọn kí wọ́n wá fi wọ́n dí pothole. It is disgusting. It is really disgusting. And Bralati, ṣé ti yín ò di? Island yín yẹn níjẹta náà ti mú dúdú kan tán pa ò tí ọlọ́pàá
how
márùn-ún
they
tán fún
feel that,
lọ́rùn pa ò.
in fact,
Bó ṣe re ìwọ tó máa ń sunkún George
because of
Floyd
shoplifting,
lójoojúmọ́.
because it's
Bralati wà tí bó ṣe
shoplifted.
re tí ẹ̀ bá fi sọ̀rọ̀ nípa ẹ̀ lónìí, Ògún máa pa yín ni. Because bó ṣe re ojoojúmọ́ ló máa ń wá nǹkan tó máa fi compare ọ̀rọ̀ George Floyd. This was an exact reenactment of George Floyd that happened in
Yeah.
Ireland few days ago. Etí yín ò di o. Bó ṣe re exactly the same thing that happens to George Floyd happened in Dublin few days ago. But it's and it was exactly 6 years ago. It was in May that year as well. It was policemen tó ń jókòó sí orí ọrùn bọ̀bọ́ tí wọ́n fi pádànù o. Àwọn ọlọ́pàá ni o. So nísìn ọlọ́pàá márùn-ún ló jókòó sí orí ọrùn bọ̀bọ́ yìí ní Ireland because ojoojúmọ́ tó bá wá sọ̀rọ̀ wàá máa pariwo nígbà tí ó ṣẹlẹ̀ sí George Floyd gbogbo ẹ̀yin lẹ bọ́ta o tí ò bá fi bọ́ta kó o sọ fún láti kó lọ ṣe protest pẹ̀lú àwọn ará Dublin tó ń ṣe protest ẹ máa tẹ́ o ẹ máa tẹ́ gidigidi ni you know because ojoojúmọ́ lẹ máa sunkún nígbà tó ṣẹlẹ̀ sí George Floyd gbogbo yín lẹ bọ́ta tẹ wá ṣe kìnìkan you know so ó ti wá ṣẹlẹ̀ lọ́dọ̀ láti ń sìn yìí o láti ó máa ń ní ẹ̀ ń jà fún Mohbad so that wọn ò ní máa pa àwọn ọmọ yín nípọnà fọṣù àbí báwo náà ṣe máa ń sọ Yorùbá yẹn wọn ò ní máa pa yín nípọnà fọṣù wọ́n ti pa ìkan nínú dúdú nípọnà fọṣù ní Island o what you gonna do about it you bloody coward because ọ̀rọ̀ Mohbad ló ń fún yín lóúnjẹ òun ló ń bọ́ yín day in day out ẹ̀yin ìkà òṣì yìí you know. Yeah, Escapade.
Escapade, I get what you are saying, and I mean, I really, really understand it. See, where I work, I'm part of Race Network there, and recently, you know, the kind of fear that people have now, people of color that they have now, is really high. The difference is that in Africa, we know it happens. We know we are underdeveloped and all that. But in the UK, you feel you are in a safe environment. I mean, even in the UK, you still prefer UK to US when you talk about racism and all that. But if you look at this period, it's really high now. And people are really concerned that Tashem Baloyi, àwọn tó wọlé, tó bá wọlé at the end of the day, it's going to be worst. That's why people are more concerned now. People are really concerned because, I mean, their children also, they are training their children on that now. Do you know?
Yeah.
You see white kids now bullying black kids in school, calling them chocolates. In Africa, we know it happens. And we know we are just developing. Our body, we should understand. But in this country, no, like me, I've never experienced racism in this country. I have never. But I tell you of recent, I feel somehow. With the things I get from work, I feel somehow about it. And I'm telling you the fact. You've got a lot of people saying now that they are thinking of leaving the UK. So that's where it is now. It's not as if we're not saying it's not in Africa. We know it's in Africa. We know it's all over the place. But the way it is here now is like shocking to people. It wasn't like this. It seems it's going back to, all those years in the 60s, in the 70s. It seems it's going back to that now. That's what people are more concerned about. And the funny thing is that if you are not careful, see, they will do it. You won't even notice. To the extent that even if you notice at work, you speak about it. That is where it is now, because they know how to do it underground. And that's what we're talking about now. If children in school are already doing this to our children, how will children feel in school? That's what people are talking about at the moment.
I do understand what you are saying and what everybody is saying, but I mean the way it started is just typical that the story about 3 people drowning, we started saying if he's white, and this is the thing that is I believe is part of the problem. If a black man tells you, a black man tells a black man, shut up, you're an idiot, it's fine. But when a white man says it, we start going the racism route. Oh, it's because I'm black. We don't see things critically. Now, obviously, the people have come out to show their racist side. I mean, it's more. It's all over the world, really. But okay, let's stay with the UK. Now it's more pronounced because of the political landscape. And the reason for this is because people are fed up. Now, if you want to be critical about how people are fed up, then you have to consider why they are fed up. The things that we do here, foreigners, can these people do it in our country? You see them talk about people raping. By the time you look at it, they are foreigners, mostly. They say, oh, these people are frauding, they are defrauding us. Who are they? Foreigners. They bring in people, they come here, some of them were supposed to come and work, they stay on benefit. All of these things is training. We have to be factual here. Put yourself in the shoes that, okay, you are the white man, you are the native, you are the person that this is your country. Or let's take it back to Nigeria. We now have Nigeria saying, oh, you people can come. And foreigners are now coming. You're now seeing that, oh, crimes are being committed. Many of it is from these foreigners. We bring in these people, they treat us anyhow, they scam us, they do all those things. And if you look at what is causing this one that is now showing now, it is this immigration issue, because these people are complaining about the immigration stance of the government, right? Which is where reform is now they're now gaining ground, saying that they're going to send people back, they're going to cut this, they're going to cut that, so to reduce immigration, which is what Trump did in the US. So the people that are angry, that are fed up, that have seen some of these things, are the ones that are now coming out to pander to the policy of reform, because they've seen an outlet where they can, just like the MAGA in the US, they've seen, oh, this is what Trump wants. We can now come. It's not that they were not racist before. It's not that they were not having all of these things in their mind. They just didn't have an outlet, right? But again, if you look at it on the other way, this country has been liberal to a fault, right? The reason some of these people left, some people started asking for Brexit is also part of immigration was one of it, right? We had people in this country who had come from all those Arab countries, like the guy with the hook hand, and many of them. That guy would be in the UK at Frisbee Park. They will block the road that people normally drive past on a Friday. They block the road. This guy will climb the podium and be preaching jihad against this same UK. He's on benefit too. He's on at some point he had I think his children and wives. He has a bigger house. They have to give it to him because under EU law they have to. And this guy will stay. They were unable to deport this guy for over 10 years because he was using the EU law, right? Britain was now saying, okay, some of these laws will allow EU to dictate, but we need some of these things back, especially the law on deportation, all of these things. Because I know there was a man who committed, I think, armed robbery or whatever. A black guy, an African person. I don't think he was Nigerian. They were going to deport that person, right? And then after he failed here, they now brought his lawyer now used the EU law. You know why they couldn't deport him? Because he had a dog, a pet, that the pet had a right to a owner. In my own country, let's imagine this is Nigeria. A foreigner has come to commit a very serious crime, and we cannot deport him because he has a dog that needs to be taken care of. After that, another person used it with their cat and say, oh, this person has a cat because of the EU law, blah, 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 blah. So sometimes we thought, okay, why have they left Brexit? But if you look at it from their own angle, some of them have a point. They have a point. We can't be using the EU law so that it is. We cannot control our country. We cannot go to court and deport somebody that is preaching jihad, asking people to blow. 7/7 happened. All those things happened. But this guy is still in the country, still preaching that same hate. He's still under our benefit. We are still paying we gave him a house. We are feeding him. We are giving him money weekly. And he will still go on a Friday and preach against us. So people are angry, but they didn't have the outlet to express it at the time. Now they have the reform. And they're saying it. So when the part of me I don't like hearing is when things happen, we go the route black versus white first. I don't like seeing it because one, it was said here when that thing started that it was not reported in the media. On the same day, BBC carried it. On the same day, they said they saw that they were on the pier. They were saying that they were on the pier. They initially saw them on the pier. Then they disappeared, and then the call came in the night, 5 a.m. or whatever, and then they found the first body. Then looking around, they found the other two bodies. But when the whole conversation started, if it was a white man, if I was a proper British, I'll be offended. That why are these people saying this? We've accommodated you. This thing has happened. They've reported. An inquest is starting on Friday. They've asked for anybody that saw anything to support the investigation. Why are we still saying, oh, if it was a white? This is their country. And they're not bad. They're not being bad. They're doing what they should be doing. But we are going around that conversation again, trying to bring the white versus black.
But let's look at it this way. People are saying that with the police because of the survey that was it completed last year, and there are loads of proofs that there are institutional racism within the police against the people of color. That's why people are saying that. People are not just saying it; they are saying it because there are data supporting it. That's why people are. I'm not saying everything you said is absolutely correct. Everything that you said is absolutely correct. We've got, loads of people of color doing nonsense and all that. And likewise, we've got white people doing it also.
Absolutely. But let me just finish. Let me just finish.
When all this happened, that person has a name. That person that did it has a name.
Okay.
Do it the way you do it. When a black person did something good in the UK, do it the way you announce it.
Let me just say this. See, when we have to be accountable, and this movement that we are on with this Justice for Mobile is a prime example, right? Everybody is saying police have not done this, but we can see it that police have done what they should be doing with Wunmi. Now, let's forget about what people say. Let's be accountable for what we said, right? People are saying there's discrimination against in the police against people of force. Agreed. But on this matter that we are discussing, you have said that, if it was a white person, it wasn't reported until somebody started making noise. It reported a week later. There's evidence to show. On the same day I saw it, on that night, that same day.
I think you got that part wrong. What we are saying is, hold on, Emma Binu. What we are saying is, it didn't make the round. If you flip the coin, if it's the same thing, it didn't make the round as much as it should be. To be honest, it did not.
Hold on, let me finish now. You cannot determine what made the round or what did not. Somebody just told you that on the same day they said it on BBC. You said you didn't see it. Because you didn't see it doesn't mean it's not there. If it's on the BBC, it's a global outlet. If you didn't see it, then that means you didn't.
See, wait, even white people are complaining about this issue we're talking about. They are complaining about the way they treated this case. Even white people with sense complaining about it.
Saints, wait. What you are trying to do is you should take responsibility for what you said. Forget about why people are complaining. This is the same thing we are getting with Wunmi. If you are saying, oh, okay, the people that are saying, oh, police didn't do that investigation, let's take them to these same people that are complaining that why police. You said it that if it was a white person, it would have, the paper would have released it. They
Of
didn't
course,
know
and
was only on. Hold on,
I'm not
hold on.
shifting from that. I'm not shifting for that. Of course, if it
Now,
is a
so
white
forget,
person,
we can't,
he
you
will be
can't,
all over
you
the
can't
place.
hold,
We know that.
you can't hold brief for other people. You said it yourself that
That's
it
what
was
I'm
nowhere.
saying, and I'm still maintaining it. I'm not
But
regretting
it's
saying
wrong. You
it.
are not accepting that it's wrong. You are not taking accountability. Your statement
Why
was
am I not
wrong.
taking accountability? I'm not saying that I'm still maintaining what I'm saying because that is what happened.
It
And I'm
is
still
in the
maintaining
paper.
it.
It was.
It
Wait,
was
what
on
you said?
BBC. No. It was on BBC. After
Yeah.
BBC, it was on IG. It was just on IG. And it was
So,
briefly on BBC.
okay, but when you started, you said it was only on media. It was only when somebody started. It was only on social media. It was only when somebody started talking about it that then they now started reporting it. That same day, it was on. If it's on
It
BBC,
was
it's a
that same day
global
they
thing.
reported it because it was that same day. Shola Shogba started shouting. Yeah, I know what I'm
And
talking.
so,
See, you know the reason why I follow this thing up, and these are not the first girls that I was following up. This thing has been happening. It has been happening. For body of women to be found in water, of black women to be found in water. And it's something we should be worried about. We're not saying that they are doing something about it, but is it something that we have to be careful about? Are
okay,
there
Saints,
places that we shouldn't go?
Saints. Let me
That
ask you a
is why we are
question.
more
Let me ask you a
concerned about
question
it.
now. Let me ask you a question. You mentioned about black people being found in water. How many do you reckon in the last year, the black people that you know that, oh, because it was being repeated several ways, black, they, like, the way it was reported when you guys were talking is, oh, black people and especially ladies were found in the water. How many black in the last 1 year do you reckon have been found drowned?
1 minute, let me find it. Let me find it on my phone. You can keep on talking about it. I'll
Yeah,
find
so
it.
while you look for it, I'll just put the figure out there. The national statistics has about maybe close to 200 people that have drowned. Except you want to tell me that of that 200 people, 180,000 or 150,000 is black. This is what I'm
No, if
expecting
you
to
no,
get.
that is
No.
not
You
stop it.
think
That's
of
not
our
the way you look
population.
at it.
No.
That is
Think
not the
of
way
our
you look at
population.
it.
That's what you
No,
are.
no.
3%. That's what we are.
We're
Yes,
looking
so
at the
but
whole.
you were saying black. Like the way what you were inferring was there's something happening to blacks that
That is not what we are
we need to
inferring.
investigate.
We feel there's something because all of the ones that happened, the result is that they suspected no foul play. That's
Okay, give me
for all of them. And the thing is, what we are saying now is that they should look deep into it, not just come out and just tell us, look deep into it because it has been happening like that. And the next thing we hear is there's no foul play. We need to know what is happening to them so that we can prevent it. That's what we're talking about. We're not saying that maybe somebody did it or maybe it was that's not what we are saying.
Again, it is this bias. This is the thing.
Let us
Why are
look
you
deep
worried? Why
into
are you
it.
hold on? Why are you particular about blacks? Because if you cannot prove it to me that more of the people that have drowned are blacks, then why are you worried about the blacks and not
I am
everybody else?
particular about it. Let me tell you why I'm particular about it. I'm particular about it because he said about 200 people found bodies found in water.
Yeah.
And about 10 of these people, 10 of them are black ladies.
Okay, so
And
now
when you want
let's
to compare,
go
no, just wait. When you want to compare it, don't compare 6 million people. Compare 3%.
So okay, now the 3% is black, right? Right? You are saying 3%.
Black women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go with the stars now. Let's say 200 people drowned. You are saying 10 people is black, but you are focusing on that black, and you are worried about a white man that is focusing on white people that are 97% of the people. Do you have a problem with that? You are considering your 3%
No.
black. A white
Let
man
me
is
tell you the way
considering
you have a look
97%.
about it. I don't know if you will understand this. See, white people are about 80-something% of the people in the UK.
Yes.
So if they have about 70 of them, it's still within the limits But when you have 3% and you have 10 of them women only,
So
then
it is
it's
so
something you have to be concerned about.
okay. So the other 190.
We're not
that
saying
one,
no.
you are
See,
not.
you're taking
That
it the
is
other
what you
way
are
around.
saying. That is what you are
You're not.
inferring.
Escapade, I'm sorry about it. I don't want to go the route you're going because you're taking it the other way around.
You're,
You're
That is
taking
what
it
you are
as if I'm a
inferring. You are
racist.
not talking.
no.
You are
That's not where
focusing.
I'm taking it to.
You are
And I would just
focusing
rather
on the
prefer
10.
not to have a discussion about this again. That's just it. I'm
Exactly,
sorry
because you are
about that.
focusing on the 10 and you are leaving the 190 because
I'm not
the 10
leaving the
is black.
190. No, I'm not leaving at the 190. We're looking at data here.
Yeah, that's
We're
what I'm
looking at the
saying.
data. No, we're not we're not saying the 190. We're not saying they are not people, or we're not saying what happened to them should have happened to them. No, that's not
Okay.
what we're looking at.
So
We're
what?
looking at the data. We're looking at the percentage of these people. If you
Okay.
compare them to be out of 10 people, let's say out of 200 people, you have 10 of them drown. Then we need to have a look at it. What is going on with them? Is it depression? Have they got mental health issue? That's what we're talking about. We're not just talking about nothing. Something as those 3 ladies. Nobody said somebody killed them. What we are saying is that something needs to be done about it.
No,
Let's actually
initially,
know what happened
let's
there.
rewind a little bit. You particularly said that investigation will say that the investigation have been saying that they didn't suspect this thing.
And not necessarily for the 10 of
and you
them.
don't believe it.
See, that is the reason why people shouted for this, because that has been.
Who are the people shouting? I have not heard people shout. I've only heard it here.
That has been their final. That has been their final. Let me tell you something. I am part of race network in the UK, and I know what I'm talking about. So if I say people, I'm talking about it, it is based on data of what we've heard recently.
That's the data I've just brought up now. So now let's go back to this data you're talking about.
What I'm talking about is it is the data of people reporting how they feel of reset.
This is commonplace. Now everybody knows that. I've explained that about people now showing their racist side because of the political landscape and because they have an outlet.
I will just
Sorry, Saint Brown, hold on a second. Let me come in a minute. The thing is, we are not excusing black on black crimes, because I could see some people trying to take it towards that route.
This is what is being implied from the way the conversation is going. Like,
no, the purpose
why would I be particular about the 10 out of 200 and not look at the whole 200? If it's because, okay, imagine a white man is on this panel and you're saying, 200 people died, 10 are black. We need to find out what happened to those 10 black. Why would they feel?
Not saying we're not. Sorry.
See, if you want to look at
I'm
that
not comfortable with this conversation.
Escapade, hold on a minute. If you're looking at that particular aspect, if you're looking at that particular aspect you've just mentioned, then why did they brought up the DEI? The same reason. If you're saying why are we bothered about the minority, then why was something raised up to do the inclusion and
that's
inclusion?
Now let's go to DEI. Let's go to DEI, right? Yeah. Diversity, equality, and inclusion, right? Yeah. It is positive. You don't bring hold on. You don't bring DEI into a debt. Like, so if because we are 3%, if 10 people die, if it's more than 3 blacks, we have to be worried. No.
We did that. We did it for NHS and Corona recently. We did it for NHS.
It is used for positive. It is used for positive, right? And for data. You don't bring it in to judge like, 10 people, 200 people died, 10 is black, then something is wrong. You just say, because are you fighting equality or diversity in that one?
We are not judging. What we are doing,
I think it came out in the way it came out is not the intent, how it's intended.
Exactly. I accept that, but that I'm saying Saint is not accepting that the way she came across and what she's implying is different.
I'm very frank with you, and I don't know if you hold on, Sandy Brown. I'm really, really being frank with you. I don't know the aspect you work, but I will say it's for free, and there is no equality in health access for black people in UK. Hold on.
You are not listening to me. I just said, hold on, let me clear it before you address me. Let me clear it. I just said it is a known fact that there is inequality in access to health care.
Okay. I thought you said we all
Exactly.
know.
That's why I
Okay.
said. That's why I said I need to say it again so that you understand what I said. So that one is standard. The blacks,
But it shouldn't be
the homeless,
standard,
the
though.
others, they have this inequality in access, which they obviously the plan is to bring equity and all of those stuff. I understand that. But my own point is, when things happen, we shouldn't just go to the mode, oh, us versus them, black versus white, or whatever. That is
It
the
was
part
not
that
the
I find
intention.
uncomfortable.
No, that was not the intention. The intention was, if there are 100 of us here and it's just 10 of us that are black people, and something happened to 3 of the black people compared to something happening to 10 of Oyibo in the same group, and we are not amplifying it the way we would have amplified it if it was 3 of the other group. I'm just trying to break it down.
So, Mayor,
Hold on. So if you compare it, the 3 out of 10 is way more than the 10 out of 100. And the question I brought forward is there things that we should be doing that we are not doing? Are there protective measures that should be put in place that are not in place? Are we having this false sense of safety that is not there? This is the reason why I brought this, is not to disparage the white people, even though historically we know that the access to information, the access to so many things, the access to investigations when it comes to black people is not as far as the white people. Go on. Yeah.
But one way enemy was given a room and a private room. What am I saying in essence? Whilst what you're saying is true, sometimes there's always going to be exceptions. And what I'm saying is, in my own case, I would be a selfish person to come out and say, I've never ever had that issue. Because one, I have private insurance. But on the other hand, because money esse, nibe, timba kigbe, one might be me for every other person, whether do, whether Oyinbo, whether that sort of thing. Does that make sense? So what I was saying, sorry, I don't know what's happening to my TikTok. What I was saying was that many years ago, Prof, something happened where my person had to be taken, instead of my private insurance, but taken into NHS. Quick. But because we know the director in that hospital, Dudu Bitiwa, you know that kind of, I don't want to cast too much, but because we know that person, won't be me for any other, when I say crying, please, now, I'm scared. Not be me for everybody. Anywhere I go to Tabasekpe, there's a queue, but because your person is stable, kiniko, because I was so frightened, immediately porters are landing with wheelchair beds and all of that to kill me. Now, some other people will look at me and say, I lied, because one me for. Does that make sense? So I think whilst you're valid in what you're saying, and I tell you something, if anybody I know, if they tell me, God forbid, I don't know, like people that are living in hospitals, but if anybody I know says to me, in your mobile in hospital, straight me. And I'm telling you, straight me, and that person will be moved, you know, that kind of thing. So it's a case of man, no man. So I think it happens everywhere. And I think Excapade's argument, I think the sum total of his argument is, not everything come points race. Does that make sense, Mayor?
Makes sense, but like I said, the intention for me bringing this up wasn't about race. Is about is there something we are doing or we shouldn't be doing that should be brought into the full context? And historically, escapade, to be factual, there are investigations that involve people of color that were not as amplified as it should be when it's compared to the white people. And when voices are raised, it gets amplified, then it gets to the right people. Let's use this issue of Stephen Lawrence as an example. You know, a board was Macpherson inquiry was raised to inquire into why that happened, why the police were not taking it as they would have taken it if we flip the coin before they were, and they themselves, the police themselves, from his own inquiry, he himself said it, that there were massive institutional racism within the police force. That is number one example. I don't know if you know about this child, baby
Victoria Kumbe.
Victoria Kumba. The
Yeah,
way
Kumbe.
this
But
child,
sorry,
yeah,
let's, Mayor, I get you.
Mayor,
I get
Mayor,
your drift, but let's separate bias from race. They're two different things. We
exactly.
all have biases.
Mayor,
So
Mayor, I
we
anyone,
know,
if
do.
there's a
But
Mayor,
bias,
what I'm saying is, if we all have biases, and this is why we get training. This is why when you're a professional, you are set aside from the
no,
common
Mayor,
man
what
with
I'm
your
saying
bias.
is some of the experiences our people have, because I've had some of these experiences. I'm not saying they, I'm immune to them, but what I'm saying is that sometimes when somebody does something, I know it's a bias and not a race
Yeah.
issue.
And
So it's separating what a bias is to a race issue, Monso.
okay, sometimes even the people you're dealing with, and this is why it's called, sometimes we get institutionalized, we don't know. And this is why we get training to let us know that, okay, if you do this, it is not acceptable. If you do that, it is not acceptable. I will give you an example. I had a lady one time, she's in her 70s, she's a Yoruba woman, but grew up in England. She just had this big surgery done. And do you know what was prescribed for her? Paracetamol. Now, if you compare it, and I'm saying it with without prejudice or anything, that if you compare the same surgery with Oyibo, I know what would have been prescribed. And this woman was in pain. She was screaming. They believe she was having delirium. And because they understand that she's Nigerian, so when I got to work, they gave me to her. When I spoke to her, and the first thing I look at her drug chart was paracetamol. When Toshi did this exploratory laparotomy kind of surgery, I asked for something stronger. And they gave, and she calmed down. And I challenged the consultant. And he said, oh, no, that is not it. And you know what? I opened Google for him. They were taught in medical school that ara wa dúdú torí skin wa ó wà thicker wípé a lè tolerate pain more than òyìnbó. It is part of the
Mayor,
institutional.
did he say that or you saw that on Google?
It is in a textbook because I know
Okay,
it. So
okay.
I showed him,
Because
and he did apologize, and this brought a review. And it's
also,
sometimes
Mayor, let's look at it from this angle. And when you were strange. Now I'm telling you what I know. I know a friend tó ṣe surgery tí wọ́n fẹ́ fún ní strong painkillers ó sọ pé òun wà okay. Òun fi spirituality gbé òun wà okay. And they prescribed for the person, discharged her. I can tell you for free, according like people, she never took it. People
that
are
is
different.
yeah, it is different.
I think that is a training need. I don't think that's a race need.
It
Because other
was
people
in
would
this
have said
situation.
they
It
had.
was,
Hey,
and that is why.
baby soft life. Let me quickly give you an example of what you just said. This one is me myself. When you're talking about that pain, when I had C-section, my last baby, even with my previous baby, when they asked me, "Oh, do you want something for pain?"
Fearless,
Network
let's talk
says.
you there.
I
Network
when they were going
says.
to turn me from recovery for that. Okay, again, oh, I
you
didn't
see,
know.
what me I want to say is that before Felix comes back, what me I want to say is that for every example or every instance that she cites for a black man being at the end of maybe medical negligence, police, whatever, incompetence, blah, blah, blah. you would have at least 10 whites. So this is why I don't want to be going down that route. I mean, what Mayor said about, we need to look at, is there like a safety thing that needs to be there? This shouldn't be a race thing. This should be, people are dying on the beach. We've heard this so numbers in the last whatever years. Is this something that it shouldn't be like, so blacks have died in the last whatever period. Is this something that should be done? Why should it be the whatever to be done be about because of the blacks? If you get what I'm saying, it should be because of everybody that has died. And we shouldn't be attributing percentage to death. It is not done that because there are 3% blacks. Then when something happens, COVID or people start dying, we have to start looking at, if it's more than 3% of the death, then it is not equity or it is not equality or whatever. Those things are not meant for things like that. You
But
look at those
actually,
things when you are looking at stats of population, or you can cite them in when you do your data for number of deaths during COVID, you can say, okay, the BAME is whatever percentage, the whites are whatever percentage, but that shouldn't
But
be
with the
what
COVID,
should.
exapate, there were other factors considered to ethnic
Yeah.
minorities. And when I say ethnic minority, I mean Indians and all of those people, because they also said we have communal living, so the spread could be
And then
faster.
we are prone to whatever. We have our
There were
own
other
underlying
factors.
issues. So
this is why I said, are there things that we should do or shouldn't do? Because I understand what you're saying, Escapade. I get what you're saying, but I need you to understand where I'm coming from. And if you're looking at the 3%, if something keeps happening within a community, should there be something that should be looked into? We don't just sit back and say, well, it is common in that community, then we should leave it. Let me use giving our children the TB vaccine in UK as an example, because TB is common in UK at all. But they offer you the vaccine because the chances of you taking your child to your home country is high, so that your child do not end up having it. But they will not offer this same one to Oyinbo, except that will be obimo fun dudu. So when something is happening within a small group, it is a cause for concern. And this is why data and teaching comes in. This is why we know that among our dudu, high blood pressure, among our dudu, we have history of type 2 diabetes. We have this issue, we have that issue. And then that is where teachings comes in.
But
Are there things that we should look
Mayor,
into?
I agree with you, sis, but when they offer that TB, yes, they're offering it based on their previous research or whatever. But I can also say to you that if a non-Dudu region is susceptible to TB, they will offer it to those mothers as well, if they're from that region.
Yeah, I did say that, but the chances of saying, okay,
so Mayor,
I think my I don't know if the way I'm
Mayor,
coming
the thing
across
is, the thing you are saying and the recommendation and what you are trying to say is valid.
Yeah.
But my own issue is that it shouldn't be because
about race.
Because if you remember, all these things started about the part that I started getting uncomfortable was Kanye White, and if he was white, why does it have to be? Maybe I think when you were saying when that thing started, somebody mentioned that it is there is evidence that blacks are not able to swim as the whites. Maybe we should, blacks, so maybe we should not learn to swim, or if you can't swim, don't go close to the body of water. I understand that, but not now trying to make it look like something is happening to the blacks because they are blacks, and if they are white, it would have been different. That is the part that I'm not
It is
what she's saying.
See a sign at the seaside saying danger of water, danger of sharp falling, danger of something. The Dudu will go there and say, hey, as if it's a joke. They don't take warning seriously as well. I've seen that severally with Dudu people. When it says warning, sudden kinikon or sudden fear of falling,
as well.
Sorry, Sherry, in as much as Baba first up in as much as I am black, and I'm telling you, some things I don't even agree with the black people. They take Sherry on this out thing of a thing. When you look at some things some of us do here,
I'm telling you, you will be like, you know what? You are the one that are causing us. You are the one that are causing us all these things. You are the one that are not making them balance some things. Because the way of your actions, some things you say, and how you act about or out to some things. Things that happen. Like now, a person of my color will come to the hospital. I'm not saying pay and other people yokishi, but you know, Yoruba will say, "Wọ́n pè yín ní kíní kan, ẹ ń ṣe báyìí kan." I tell my kids, even when I go to their school, I will tell their teacher, "Come on, my kids are not like other children. When my kids do something, they get discipline. I don't care." I have had a math teacher come. She had, you know, this conference thing. She had one with a Nigerian like me before me. She had a terrible experience. And when she was talking to me, she was like, pay. Thank God she did not put everything, like judging everybody at Korea. And I was like, what happened? And she said, she had a terrible experience. This is a teacher. And when I told her, oh, this is me, this is the kind of, and she said, yes, taking Nick or not, but it was a different experience with her. In as much as some things I don't agree with them, but we ourselves go. And I'm so sorry, only ma really go into a board. We ourselves, as you know, people of this color, there are some things that we don't do. We should not be doing. Just because we are here in this country, or we are here in their country, and we feel like, yes, everything has to be balanced, and everything has to be equal. Yes, they said equal rights. They can say it with their mouths. Doesn't mean that is what they are going to do, or what is going to happen. No. Some things we have to do with our own common sense. Here we have some people that would come in here and say, Shebi, they said this is how it's supposed to be. Shebi the king koto yeko shefun, Shebi kini ko kimi kom. They will be doing that. But guess what? They are looking at you like, come on, you came to, and they don't have that right. They have the right to say, okay, you came into our country now. Why are you now acting this way? Amy, I count everybody equally until you give me a reason why I should treat you special. Or why I should treat you otherwise. No, don't let me say special. Give me a reason, then I'll treat you otherwise. But I will treat everybody equally. I know there is a lot of this out thing in our head that is happening. No excuse. In this city, Timothy Shishai, if you know be what I want people of my own color, one fear one even Titi more lockdown. I'm saying this in Yoruba because me first sonning this. One bear one baje. And it's not a matter of okay, you can come here and do whatever. That's not the point. No, in fact, no, their stupidity is of the highest order. They do things, and sometimes I will look at them, but you have all this opportunity. Why are you misusing it? Meanwhile, don't forget we have other people of color too. But when it comes to our, I'm so sorry, I'm standing you. We always want to put, but igba kan àwọn shinko, tẹ́ rí kan tí wọ́n fojú wọn rí níbí báyìí. Ṣáwọn èèyàn stand fún wọn ni? No, àwọn èèyàn stand fún wọn. Especially àwọn old ones, wọ́n máa ṣe oríṣiríṣi fún àwọn people yẹn. But no, nobody stood for them. Mélòó ni community wọn níbí báyìí? We even have more chances. We have better chances because anyone mixing it. So my own conclusion of everything is, in as much as I want to agree, there is this, but we ourselves, our gongofra, and I'm not trying to attach it to the three ladies. You know, a lot of things would have, might, attached to those ones with whatever happened. And I know in the beginning, Mayor was saying, spiritually and everything, or maybe we don't want to leave each other and all that. But me, I'm just on this Kinipe. Emma, please let us, it should be equality. Let's make it equal. And I'm telling you, when we don't have all these thing inside before you can judge. And that is what most of our people, yes, they have that thing in their mental, they have that in their head. Once they see you like this, once ratio, once you profile, and this is what I tell my kids every day. You have to know how to act out there. There is no amount of way that you act out there they will even accept you. But you have to, because but you straight off until you act different. Ma.
Jerry, can I tell Sonia, you're very right. Well, this bit about how you present yourself, because when we first moved, there was a part of the UK we moved to. We were the only Dudu there for ages, for everywhere. And the first thing my husband was like, "Wa to banjadi mamura bikiniko." I mean, you see some people, they wear, what's this cap these young ones wear now? Kini cap combat man was from
Bonnet.
Thank you. That's it, bonnet. Why would it's okay, the teenagers or the Gen Zs are doing it fine. But why would you, a woman, as in a mom, go to school in pajamas at the bonnet? The fact that you're Eastern European person. I mean, listening, Chubimi. Okay, because why would you in the first? Okay, fine. There's certain things you might not get away with that Boya Lomile get away with, but it doesn't necessarily mean race is about presentation. See, I'm not even messing around in terms of when I worked in a school in London, they used to call me sophisticated at that time, and this is about almost like 26 years ago. Because when they all come in jogger bottoms, I'm trouser suited up. And I told them, "Mommy, that's not my understanding of work. Me, I have to come to work." I said, "This is me." I worked in another place. They were actually asking me how big my wardrobe was. Because really not all of them. But see, where I am now, because of the way they've seen me, if you see how my staff come to work, nobody can mess with them. Because presentation look bad. Even if at all anybody wants to mess, it's actually the Dudu people that are a bit funny. Not even the so-called Oyibo ones. Because Dudu in their own minds, if you work in education, she education, she doctor, she architect, she kiniko. That's the Dudu mentality. But when a lot of them now sit down and understand what I do, they go like, "Mama, mama, mangbo." Even embarrassing is the fact that some of them, so young, they try to like dobale for me in the mornings. And I'm like, "Please stop this rubbish." Nobody knew I was Niger till some Niger people started coming to my school. Nobody. I had to explain culture to them. And I said, it's not unique to us, Indians in She. But let's go back to this issue of not everything is, inclusion is about age, is about gender, is about sexual orientation, is about religion. It's so many things. It's not just on race. And we have to be very careful because I deal with children. I'm just giving you.
And
it's about culture.
Into this, they add your culture to whatever training that you are getting. And it's because they understand that they are people that has cultures. Emma Bino continue
Sis, because I don't want to be like monotone. I want people to come. In the first place, it embarrasses me when I see on Instagram or TikTok that a Dudu person is eating amala on the train. Why are you eating amala and gusi on the train? Would you eat that in the molue? What's wrong with you? I don't come representation. But that said, the example I wanted to roll out was about children. A child once alleged another child. So many things were said. Do you know, when that school sort of brought it up and I had to go into that place to investigate and look into what had happened. And the thing is, it was a case of a puppy love. She just had a puppy love towards this boy. And the crazy thing is, I would say it's Dudu. And I feel sorry for that group or cohort of people because Omoyi is a mixed race child. So, yeah, Dudu, Babe Oyinbo. Àwọn òyìnbó wọ́n á sọ pé dúdú ni àwa dúdú á sọ pé bóyá òyìnbó ni they don't want to accept one anywhere, but another Dudu child then goes to say that ọmọ yẹn racist was. But when we dug down, looked into this investigation, did everything we needed, we now found out that ó parọ́ mọ́ boy yẹn ni. Now, did that girl feel the need láti parọ́ mọ́ boy yẹn because it's something Tomo Ekpe is high profile. But I have this for parents, really. If you bring up a case of race in a school, they will look into it. They will try and understand the context of it. And when they understand the context of it, a decision will be made. I'll be very honest with you, at primary school level, nobody's going to expel or suspend any child. They will educate that child instead. Because I know that some parents will say, but it's a race, oh, you're called. No, because that child might not be on a normal day that sort of person. You won't have to understand what happened. And sometimes you actually find out that Omodudu yeno sonkosini. Because sometimes I've been in cases where the Dudu our resort to an abuse in Yoruba. That Omoyibo nyele mamo what it means. But when you look into these things and investigate these things, not everything children sometimes say at home is 100% accurate. And some children, it's not because they're lying. It's just their context or their concept or their understanding of that thing at that point in time. So I always shy away from when parents say, oh, are you telling me my child came home to lie to me? I always say to parents, if I feel it's been a lie, I will say, I think your child lied. But if it's not a lie, I will say to the parent, I think that's your child's understanding of the situation, but not quite what happened. And a lot of the time they will see it that way. So to be honest with you, in an educational system, especially if it's not a repeated occurrence, the fact that you go in there and say, oh, somebody called my child this, because sometimes there's been cases where Omodudu won't pera one N-word, one thing curry siramo, and there's an N-word in it. Are you now going to say that Torinyeba popular, Tomo Yiboba curry with the N-word in it, and ma crucify it to riposo? And I sometimes, even last week, I still had some Dudu people talking to me and they were like, well, Emile pera mini N-word. It's just that Oyinbo at the Indian no dekpe mini N-word because omani a connotation to it, which I understand. But why are you calling yourself that as a joke to their hearing when you know that they can't join in that joke? So it's all about common sense approach to things. So
Baby Soft Life.
Yeah.
Let me even give I think about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was, because of this reform, whatever, I was in a conversation with one Oyinbo guy. So he's a recovering alcoholic. Omar is an alcoholic. So he said that he went back, Ochikoko stopped, then he went back into alcohol and then drugs because of his broken relationship with his partner or girlfriend or whatever. So he now said that the lady, like a very tiny lady, but Omar known that he was suffering domestic abuse and all of those things, that he had written about 12 reports to police, that they didn't do anything about it. Then they referred him to all of these NHS, whatever, to drug and alcohol unit and all of those things. So he now said he went to one place that he said the guy's person's name, he typically mentioned that the nurse's name was Bamidele, right? That it's one of those, I think those ones that came on, because he said the way he knew him, he hadn't been here for long. So when he was now giving those on the story again, that he was also cocood. Yeah, I know Mayo. So baby, to explain, when somebody is cocood, is like people come into your house, right? They take over your house to deal in drugs.
Gangs take over your house.
Yeah, and then they'll be doing drugs from your house. So he said at the time that he was with that lady, Oti stopped, but the lady then continued. So it was that lady's.
Okay, it's cuckoo, as in cuckoo, as in when birds.
The cuckoo bird, because the cuckoo bird, it wouldn't make their own nest. They'll go and take over other birds' nest. So that's why they use the word cuckoo. So this lady only used only low drugs. So our own friends were those people that two people that now came to his own apartment. They now cuckooed him. So they were doing the drugs from his apartment. Okay. So he told them all of those things. And he said that Bamidele guy now said he's lying. That what do you mean they held you hostage in your own house, that you couldn't even call the police? And because if at that point does this guy not even know what being cuckooed means? They'll follow you to the toilet. You have to leave the toilet open. They'll take over your phone. His cards, they took over his cards, everything. But because the guy is Ninja, how can somebody be in your house? for weeks, and you cannot even call, you cannot do anything. So he now said, you didn't grow up in this country, did you? He now said that's when everything turned, they now turned it on him that he was being racist. Was that being racist? He said he was so, that he was even frightened to the point that he couldn't even speak again when they were talking to him. Like, he didn't know what else he would say, because he was wondering, you are saying you don't find it believable because you don't understand it. So, but you didn't grow up in this country, they turned it into him being racist, a white guy. So he was not talking about that, because we're talking about this reform and all this. He said those are the kinds of things that have angered people, but that they didn't have where to vent.
Now, that isn't even about race, to be honest with you. That's a training issue. Because even that word or that term cuckoo is a new one now in safeguarding. Because it's only now don't realize we pay some of these people when man move into that person's house. Boya there's exploitation. When man move into that person's house and monitor, even could they jade without anything.
Toilet, he would open the door, everything. They'll watch him take his bath, do everything. That's what they do.
They would take over everything, and that is happening. But what's even interesting was I had a strategic meeting Pelamo Olokpa last week. And do you know, and this doesn't make the news, do you know that the highest in the county, I'm not going to give the county name, but in that county, do you know that the highest number of exploitations to perpetrators is actually Dudu, and not only Dudu, I tell you, Niger, in that county. And it is not a county like that is inundated with Dudu people. And I was surprised because I could see the names and the list and all of that. And it's Dudu, Niger people. Some practice here with the younger ones. But that hasn't made the news. Normally, Omotoma make the news in one Indians, no woman shaking. That's the one that makes the news, you know. So not everything, but I understand people's feelings, because sometimes when we respond to these things, we respond based on our experiences. And is that to say I haven't had experiences? I have. I've had monkey chants made at me or done at me maybe about 20 years ago. And I mean, I was in a position where after a while, I saw that Olopa was powerless because, and it wasn't because they were powerless, but, and this is for people, in the diaspora. This is for those people because Olopa was in Ulemi. I called Olopa one was in Ulemi Mojoko. It was a summer day. The window, the blinds, everything was opened. And those children again, and these are children, they came again, bikes, dogs, everything. Omoyetu wasibi window yamode. So Olopa and take notes me. That is the boy. Ti on shaking. Omoyeda were through the window. Oh shame, oh make faces at the Olopa, oh shame, or be kind of thing. And I said to the Olopa, what are you going to do about that? And they said, oh, well, it is not an offense. Well, now with what I do now, okay, fine, I get it's not an offense because it's not an indication of anything. But they told me that I have to go to 19 homes of families to get a signature appended if I wanted them to address that issue or get rid of those people from the area. Now, you tell me, as a person to Jekwe Dudu, and they one of the things they even did was they stole the manhole. They stole the manhole from my house. So my daughter, I mean now 23, she was probably about 2. She fell into the manhole. She still has that scar till today. So she fell into that manhole. That was part of my irritation and the reason at that time, Mopolopa. Then another thing they were doing is they would come all the time and say things like, am I your hood mate? And the reason they use that term, is because my husband's accent is American. So the fact that they saw that, it fascinated them and it wasn't the situation. So I had to move out of that area, sold the property, got another one. And why did we move? My husband decided, do you know what, because at the time I was pregnant with my second one. And he just said, do you know what, that's me done. We sell this one and we move to another one. That was how we moved. But I mean, if I wanted to, I could go to 19 families. But do I know if 19 families are friends with that particular family I'm trying to do something with? So sometimes I understand as the Dudu or the minority people, you might feel that, yes, there might be something. But when you actually mix with Omoibo, there's some Omoibo that are very protective of you. Very, very protective of our Dudu. Because, I mean, like that family they were trying to evict, most of the people that came out to say, They were Igbo people to say don't deport them, don't and also Dudu, let us try and be clean, because I've seen cases where a Dudu was in hospital, and she fainted in the house, or something happened in the house. They needed an ambulance. Are you off, babe? Okay, I thought you were going out. All right, babe. All right, babe. So she fainted, and anything momo gidi gonyo. Sadly, she's late, but faint. I'm talking about the okwe, I mean boyfriend, whatever it was to her. He called the ambulance. All right, babe. He called the ambulance and he ran away from the home. The reason he ran off was because boya paper okwe. Now, anything they now took to hospital. Now, when I heard about the situation, because it's very far from where I am, I now sent another person to Manie, Wunmi hospital. So when she got to the hospital, she said to the midwife, I'm here to see, not midwife, nurses anyway, I'm here to see Lagbaja. And they were like, who? And then, because she's using another name. Apparently, but do you know that when she actually eventually struggled to get out from that coma or that situation, from that hospital? So her health at that point was not paramount to her. So a lot of the time, I want to be honest with you, a lot of the things we hear sometimes are exaggerated. Amoroso, amarojo yen bi eni pe hey, and tabati gbohun soke báyìí wọ́n rò pé ayé tin ṣe wá ni pé nǹkan tin ṣe wá, because the cases have addressed that it's like obìnrin pọlọ́pàá fún. Okay, let me say this because this is going to be beneficial to everybody. I'm not saying, sorry, ex-If I'm taking your time, but I'm not saying that people should lie. No, I'm not saying people should lie. But John Torí Ọlọ́run, I beg you, tẹ́ bá nídìí ọlọ́pàá, only call them when it is exceptionally dangerous, that you're in danger, that you fear for your life. Please, I beg you. Because each time tẹ́ bá pe ọlọ́pàá, tẹ́ bá ní ọmọ, ọlọ́pàá máa email school ọmọ yín. They will always give a notice or a notification that they have attended. It doesn't mean they will come and gbé ọmọ yín, no. But there would always be a notification to your child's school that they've attended your property because of domestic violence. And a good school ideally should call you in to understand what's going on. But the things I hear sometimes, I tell you, it blows my mind. Because irú nǹkan tó ń ṣe ń bì báyìí, nígbà míì tó bá pe ọlọ́pàá yẹn, is not for anything valid. Ó lè jẹ́ pé, ó dà pọ̀ kọ́ mi ò fẹ́ máa sọ kíní yẹn because I don't know who is on the platform and I don't want to give out confidential data by accident. But Shemo, ọkọ mi lálẹ́, I'm trying my Yoruba hard really here. Ọkọ mi lálẹ́, alẹ́ ọkọ mi, ó dà pọ̀ máa ṣe nǹkan fọ́kọ mi, ẹ̀rù kàn bà mí, ọ̀pọ̀lọpàá. What does that mean? As long as tẹ́ni yẹn ò bá wá síbi tẹ́ wà, tí ò sí nínú ilé yẹn, instead of calling 999, lọ sí the local police station kó lọ report. That doesn't mean they will not contact your child's school, but at that point, it would not be seen as a domestic issue where they've urgently or as a matter of emergency attended to your property. So that's just the difference I think is beneficial to everybody who's UK-based. Or anytime to back your lock as a matter of emergency, and that file will follow your child all through their stay in education. So when you buy one primary school, to buy a secondary school, they will send that file. It doesn't mean anything, but it's going to be there, that it's on a safeguarding file. And sometimes some people think it's wise to change county and change borough and change everything. That file will still follow wherever you're going. So get it right. And if you need advice, seek for advice. And when they're talking to you, stop shouting and yelling and bellowing because you want to express yourself. Because it's not cultural to them. So they're going to think that see me see trouble, because ni nursing home and got into trouble because did you hit this person? The simple answer is no, I did not. Oh, I beg your pardon. What? I never did. No, of course I wouldn't. That's not professional. That should be your answer. But Dudu Naija, see me see trouble. See me see trouble. because they had to say, if there was nothing else to it, and see me, because these things are not, so it takes somebody who can be culturally, go there and say, oh, it's just a culture thing, kiniko and all of that, but you don't always get that service. There is that service, but you don't always get that service. So a lot of the things are very little, minimal things, but when they then pick you up for it and you're so upset about it, when you talk about it because it blows your mind, you exaggerate it. And that is the issue sometimes that makes it look like social services in Bebubomo. No, that is never the intention. I'm not a social worker, but I'm telling you, I work with them as well. They don't want your child because they don't even have the budget. But tí ọkọ ẹ bá lóun na ọmọ, tọ́mọ bá lọ́kọ ló na òun tí wò bá na ọmọ, then don't say, ọkọ mi ni mo tẹ̀lé o, nǹkan tọ́kọ mi bá sọ ni. If you say that ọmọ ọmọ yẹn kúrò ni, because you're saying to them that ọmọ yẹn ò safe pẹ̀lú wọn náà. But if you say to them, ó máa ń nà ọmọ, but mo máa bá sọ̀rọ̀, mo máa bá wí, mo máa ṣe kinní kan, that's a different case. Worst case scenario, wọ́n ní kí bàbá yẹn jáde nílé, even if it's the wife, wọ́n ní kí ìyá yẹn, whoever the perpetrator is, ìyẹn ló máa ní kó kúrò nílé. And they do it whether you are Dudu or Indian or Chinese or Igbo or whatever. So Igbo not normal. But if you say something like, let's say Okolo no, and of course they say, oh, but that should, if you now start saying, my husband, do you know how many years I've been with him? It is a Guinea, he's my head of my family. Really? Because you were going to do for one more. But if you say, no, I apologize, I was not aware, I've told him not to, he wouldn't do that. Most likely they'll tell him to go away for 3 days and they'll just keep an eye on you and the family for a bit of time, and then they would after some time they would release, they'll close the case. But if you, because that's my disclaimer now, but on fi belt no more, on fi hanger no more, on for Morogun, because that's the major one. They say when you start hearing ladle, they use the ladle on me, on Morogun. Even when you are using it to just derubomonye, don't do it. Because that child is getting scared and worried and would go somewhere and say that and safeguarding, the meaning of safeguarding is you protect the child before harm comes to them. That is the meaning of safeguarding. I'm stressing it. So when they call you into the school or they report, don't start acting like kilo share, like kilo day. No, it's called safeguarding for a reason, because they've got to protect the child before harm comes to them. Now, it's child protection when the child is already in danger, there's risk to them, you got to share someone here already, then that is child protection. Because sometimes they're used interchangeably and people don't understand the difference. So if they call you for using Omorogun to scare your child, there's a reason for that. So don't scare people with Omorogun. And I'm telling you this, even in Nigeria, I know my dad did fire once a tutor that smacked me when I was like age 7. In fact, he was going and walking away and my dad just looked out and said, look, make sure you don't come back here. Because sometimes that thing is, I don't care what people's feelings or thoughts on this are. I have, and I would say by God's grace, I have 2 lovely grown-up kids doing well, making me proud. But that wasn't the case. We talk, we have a conversation, we discuss. Another statistics that is out there people don't say is how many Dudu children run away from home. There are quite a number of missing cases that don't make the news. Because when they run away, even if they're age 16 or age 18, they give them property to stay in and they start living. So many children have run away from home of Dudu. And nobody says that. And that's why you have all these people go gaga and crazy and they don't have any love for children on that side. And you say, it's because of things like this. So I don't want to turn this into a safeguarding or educational sort of consultative moment, but I just think it's important to drop those important nuggets to you. Don't solve problem here amongst you as adults, do so. But if you feel you're at risk at that point, call the Olokpa. Otherwise, your child's school will always hear every time there's Olokpa. And no harm better come to that child. And that's my take as well. No child should be put at risk because 2 adults can behave themselves or manage their emotions. May your escapade mo ti gbé yín kúrò lórí topic yìí. Sorry,
No, it's
I always
fine.
default to children and
Ẹ ti gbéra kúrò
education.
lórí topic pátápátá.
Emma Binu. Sorry, my
We've
own is just
gone.
children and young people.
Yeah.
Escapade is right to feel somehow about the way some things are put out, and like I was saying, this was not a case of Dudu compared to Oyinbo, but this situation, Escapade, I'm still standing on this fact that if it is Omo Oyinbo mẹ́ta, Omo ìyá mẹ́ta, tí nǹkan yìí ṣẹlẹ̀ sí, do you believe there will be more out there than it is in this situation, or we are just going to accept that okay, it didn't just make the mainstream news. I know what the normal mainstream news is, but what we understand these days is social media. It will be there, it will be everywhere. Do you actually think we will be hearing more of it than we are at the moment because it is Dudu, or we are just going to accept it is on the same scale? It didn't make news, because I feel wípé tó bá jọmọ ìyá mẹ́ta òyìnbó proper Caucasian, ọmọ bàbá kan náà ìyá kan náà, wọ́n jí kúrò nílé láàárọ̀ kùtùkùtù, wọ́n drive or wọ́n wọ train, depending. This beach is not close to their house. It is a different town. They left Oxbridge. For people that lives in London, they left Oxbridge, drove all the way to Brighton. Brighton is another bí pé kéèyàn kúrò ní Ìbàdàn kó lọ sí Èkó, kó lọ kó sí Bar Beach lÉkòó ní aago 5 àárọ̀. So I'm saying it for the contents. Do you think a máa gbọ́ more on it? Ṣé kò ní wà ní TikTok, kò ní wà ní Instagram, kò ní wà ní Facebook? Àwọn èèyàn ní ti máa sọ pé kíní kan and all that. Are you saying that the police won't be questioned? Yes, we know that investigation is going on, but one of the statements of the police is there is no foul play at the moment. And what makes me bring this topic or brings this discussion out is there something we should be aware of as Dudu? Somebody said there that we don't swim like Oyinbo, which is fact, which is fact. We don't. We are laid back about this. But another person was saying these kids grew up here. So now, if they grew up here, it means that they have the exposure, because in the UK, from the primary 6, not even if you don't teach them at home, or if you don't give them private lessons for swimming classes, at I think year 4, year 5, swimming. There is a class for it at a certain stage in primary school. So there will be a thing. And like Baby Soft Life said, there are times, she lives closer to the beach. There are times that you are on the sand, and sometimes the tide change. But my question as a woman, because in the last few years, it might not be as much as Caucasian. Of course, kò yẹ kó pọ̀ tó Caucasians, kò yẹ kó tiẹ̀ pọ̀ rárá. And why I'm asking question is there something that we are not getting? Is there something that is missing? Because I've been in the last few years, and why people are questioning is kò make news bó ṣe máa make tó bá jẹ́ òyìnbó ló ṣẹlẹ̀ sí. Àwọn dúdú go missing in the last few years.
Let me quickly speak.
Let me be
now,
devil's
please.
advocate. Okay, Elizabeth, you go first.
See, the thing here is this Tobaja Dudu thing is where me I have an issue.
But
Wait, now let me just finish. It was on BBC News that same day. It was on ITV News. It was on Sky News. The thing is, what we are not taking accountability for is our interest.
That's another thing.
It is one or we, because it's not this is the J4M community, because it's not here does not mean that other people are not discussing it, right? So like somebody was telling you, it was somebody in this same place that was saying, oh, it was Ijon and Gongo, they reported it on BBC News. You said you didn't see it. So
No,
it is relative. Yeah, it is relative. Even ITV, this is ITV.
In Brighton.
This is
Emergency services were called to the area at around 6 this morning after concerns were raised about a person in the water. Our correspondent Garrett Vincent reports.
They had the correspondent there. This is ITV. BBC did their own. Sky did their own. So how else do you want to now say? Okay, what would they have done differently if it was white? What else would they have said it that they have not said it? BBC, Sunny News, correspondent ITV was there. BBC correspondent was there. Sky News said it. it is because of maybe our own interest that it's not something that is on our FYP or making on our
Yeah, FYP.
Which
algorithm
is
that
another thing.
exactly. So if people are not aware of it, it's not because it's not out there. ITV is global, BBC is global, Sky News is global, and then they've said that they've set up the initial this thing. They said they saw them on the pier. That then the last time they saw them was on the pier, and after that they didn't see them again until that call came. The inquest is starting on Friday. So I'm trying to understand what else would they have done for
This is my
a
take,
white person.
escapade. This is my take. Yeah, I personally have always, my children are raised with, it's not race, it's just be human. That's my own thing. But let me say this in the sense of my own thinking is, they probably went for a party, they were on the pier, something happened, they collapsed, it was late at night, maybe people didn't notice them fall off or something, or maybe one tried to rescue the other, we never can tell. And then they were discovered in the early hours of the morning. It could be that. But that said, kila fe gongon as Dudu people, when we talk about making the news. The reason I'm saying so is because we make the news the most for county, I'm trying to say it without us being kine, but Shomepe county level. Do you all get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, when the bank Kinikon, I don't know how to say it in Yoruba, escapade.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Cross county, Ogun. Kilo escapade.
Mm-hmm. Go on.
You know what I'm saying? You know, when they carry Kinikon from one county to another. Now, cross county. Now, when they do it on the news, it's always usually on the news. People will think it's Dudu people. But when I had, there was one of my case review meetings I had with the Olopa people, and they asked that question, that who are the people? Mokosibe, Boya, Eastern, Kinikon, Oyinbo, Dudu, and all of that. But quite a number of us, and innocently so, even the Oyinbo people, some of them need Dudu. Guess what? Wrong. I actually did not put Dudu there, Oyinbole Mifisibe, because in my own mind, it was just common sense that Tabakbo, and that crime happens. It cannot be also Boju. So basically, and the truth is, Oyinboni, the most of it. But the thing is, the news has so amplified it in such a way as if Obe and Ogunkini is a Dudu thing. Whereas, there are so many Oyinbo people who don't commit, and don't make the news. So the question then becomes, what exactly, do we really want to be in the news in that regard because it would throw up the fact that they need to protect us? Or is it going to be another case of, because they always give them all those things free when they come in as from the ship and whatever they call it, that thing. So what exactly do we want to be in the news for?
Okay, I think we have really, really digressed a lot from the intention of this topic. And I'm actually glad this used to be our Saturday thing, Baby Soft. We usually discuss different things outside J4M on Saturday, and I'm really loving this. But I'm looking at things in a broader scope. I understand your point, and I understand Escapade's point, and I did understand St. Brown's point. Escapade is not finding that aspect of black versus white thing. He doesn't want to hear it at all, which is fine. But if we do not take...
it's not that he doesn't want to hear it.
No. Let me explain myself.
Let me explain myself again. Escapade is just saying human beings are human beings. But if something happens, we shouldn't default to race immediately.
Exactly. And we try to exaggerate, like somebody was saying in the comment section as well that these people fought for the blacks to come to their country. I think all of these things, it's I don't know, maybe it's me that's not normal, because now it's true. People will be saying, but
me and you both.
I don't know if God's going to hear me. They fought for us to come to their country, so we should then start be playing victims and be accusing. Like Baby Sola said earlier, that sometimes we blacks, we know how to hype stuff and be talking about it and be making a big deal out of it. But the problem here is they cannot reciprocate that energy. They'll be termed racist. If you get what I'm saying. If you shout on a white man and you start to shout back at you, he's a racist man. So many of them are subdued in their country, and this is the anger that is now coming out. We can say anything. Okay, now the black people will be angry that, hold on, Mayor. They will say, black people will come out and say, they're only searching the black teenagers on the street. They're only stopping back. But who are the people that are carrying knives? It is black. This knife crime, where is it common? Among the blacks, but we will still complain. Why are they searching mostly black boys? Why are they start? Then we'll see data. Black on black stabbing is very common. But we still want to play that victim that why is it black that stabbing? They are searching.
If we look at that,
play victim too much. That is where that is the problem I have.
Yeah, we shouldn't play victim. We should learn accountability. And in that same tone, we should speak about what these biases have caused. And one of the biases, one of the biases of this thinking that every black teenager that have dreadlock or have a hood is potentially a criminal has been
the teenagers that are
for
in
white
London, they all have braids.
White with piercings and tattoos they are targeted too now. So let's not make it a race thing.
There is, hold on, but there is, but the fact is, if two kids are walking down the street, it can do the same height, the same dreadlock, the same piercing, the same everything, wearing a hood, who is going to be stopped first and searched?
I can't, if they have the same piercing, the same everything, I can't tell that by start.
I'm going to tell you for fact that it will be omokunrin dudu.
It cannot be a fact, Mayor, unless you can prove it too.
But it's been there. It has been there. It is the dudu.
No. Let's not say that.
I've seen situations where Oyinbo, Lodaduro, and Dudulumbe.
Do you know that?
Yeah, I think. But we've seen situations, but when you compare it to what is out there, it is the fact that we are trying to shy away from the fact that sometimes some of us live, we have privilege. This is one thing I had. This one discussion I have with one of my brother some years ago in America. He was like, how come these people have all this opportunity and they do not utilize it? And you that is an immigrant, go to school, you have this, you have that, and all those things. And I'm like, you're speaking from a place of privilege. You're speaking on a place of when you are leaving your country, you're already a degree holder. You want to compare it to almost 16 years that has already faced life of crime. Most of us that are immigrants did not live in all these project homes. We did not live in project houses. We did not live in all these areas. There are some years ago, UK, there are some years ago.
That's not an excuse of a project home.
I'm not making excuses. We are stating facts. There are some years ago, in London, there are some areas that ọlọ́pàá gan ò lè wọ ibẹ̀. Àwọn jàmọ́ ni ó wà níbẹ̀ nígbà yẹn. That ọlọ́pàá ò lè wọ ibẹ̀ láíláí. And when they call for police, they will tell you that it is dog eating dogs. Let them pie themselves. It was ọlọ́pàá ló sọ yẹn. So this is not this, and there is no way we're going to teach our young black men to say tọ́lọ́pàá bá dẹ dúró má ṣe kinní kan, stand still.
Some of these things are passed down. Let me be honest.
It is, yeah, we
some
know.
Of these things. Hold on, babe. See, you know what? Some of these things are passed down from parents to children, because
yes, of course,
it's fears that parents have instilled in other people. So my dad was here and my parents were here in the 1940s and all of those kind of things. Do you know, for one day, me growing up, they never ever told me those crazy stories. But when they were much older, if they recollect something, they'll say, oh, yeah, this happened at the time, this happened at the time. And maybe because the numbers were fewer, they didn't know. But what I'm going to say is some of these fears have been instilled into our young black children that they're not confident. And a lot of the time, Olokpa, Kunshe, Orenu, Nikolongo, one will body language. So if a child, and psychologically, if they look and assess the situation and the child, and it looks like they're jittery, they're a bit worried, they're a bit concerned, then they would be, Olokpa will start thinking, okay, is there something we need to look into? Is there something more I need to explore here? And I tell you something, it's the same with me in education. There's been occasions, because I don't always get it right, there's been occasions where I've believed in my head that a child was definitely lying. And it was just my gut feel that felt, investigate a bit further, only to find out that it's just that child's disposition. They are not used to, that kind of thing. And and maybe some people cower in the face of confrontation. And then I realized, actually, it's not. And on those cases, I doubled down greatly, irrespective of color, on the other child, because they almost made me believe the other one. Yeah, but yeah, want a bit more presence. So I think we need to educate our children, or continue to educate our children, that they have a place in the society. If they are the first generation, they're first generation Brit. They're English, actually. They are not just that they're British. We might not be English because we're not born, raised here. They are English, actually. So they need to take their places. And you know the crazy thing? Those times they were putting all those flags everywhere and coloring the roundabout and everything.
Of course.
See,
We are looking at something in a larger scale, not on an individual based scale. And we are comparing the statistics of things that has happened that has prompted this discussion. There are things people didn't just wake up, and this is part of reflection and learning from experience. What has happened that makes us to now put this in place to prevent or to ensure this doesn't happen? And if it happens, what are the measures that we're going to do to ensure that the society at large is being protected? If you
Exactly,
remember,
Mayor.
yes, so
It's that society that I want to hear. I don't want to hear to say that so that blacks will not be, so that more fewer blacks will be drowning. If anybody, whatever is being put in place should be for everybody. Let me give you interest. Let me ask you one question, Mayor, and I know this one that you'll probably follow the line of the one you asked earlier. So in the US, you know, there's this police shooting and all of those things.
yeah.
Who do you think has been affected more by numbers, white or black, have been killed by police in the US?
Now you're looking at statistics. If you're looking at by numbers, it will be Oyinbo. But if you look at the statistics of the people, that is what we're saying. If you look at the statistics, and I'm saying it again, if let's say, okay, àwọn Ìkìrun àti Ìbàdàn ló ń jà lọ́wọ́ ńsìn. Let's say there is 500 Ìkìrun people.
Hold on, Mayor. The question you asked me was if a black man and a white man were working. So in the arrest in the UK, who do you think would have been more arrested more, white or black? It would be white, because there are many. But you are looking at, okay, the average, looking at the 3% and the percentage of the 3% that's been arrested.
That is the scale you're going to use, not
But
the numbers.
that's not right now. If you are telling me
that is the scale that will be used.
Let me butt in real quick. Did you know that more black people are convicted for crimes or misdemeanors that their white counterparts will get a slap on the wrist for? Did you know that?
Is there stats for this?
Based on statistics. Yes, absolutely. There is in the US. Look it up. I'm driving.
Yes, Escape. That is fact. That is fact.
There will be no stats of such, because that would not. Hold on. Let me finish. Because where would you see so a stat will now say, oh, this white person was convicted, but if he was a black, it would not. Where would that stat be? It would be assumption and things that people are.
No. This is not assumption. This is.
But where would you get a stat to say that if this person was convicted, but if he was a white, he wouldn't be convicted? There can't be any stat like that.
No. You're not getting it. Let's say there are some crimes that you know that this thing is just a misdemeanor. You know, one, tó bá jẹ́ dúdú kò ní jẹ́ misdemeanor. The color of your skin has already spoken against you. Now, if you're a man, is against you. So you already have the stacks against you already.
Yeah.
But tó bá jẹ́ ọkùnrin funfun, tó bá ní it is self-defense. Yes, they might be arrested. He's going to, because they are normally they have friends, they have homes, like this case of this high school to stab the other kid and all those things that made news and all those things. You know, the expectations. Okay, now let me put this. The expectation of that black boy was supposed to be, he was from a single household, living in the project and from poor background. But this black boy did not meet any of those statistics. He's from a 2 household income, lives in the suburb. Both parents are making good money. So the expectations of the media, because it's the media, it is what they put to us that we will see. What is presented to us that we will see.
There are some documentaries on. There's a documentary, I need to find the name, on Netflix, which is like true stories of people that have been through the system. No, not this one. This one is
Not the
something
son.
no, it's
Okay.
something documentaries like about people that have been to jail and then maybe later they found that they didn't do it. If you look at it, there are blacks there. I think they're even more white, that like Hispanics and all of those things. So this is why I'm saying that it happens everywhere. I'm sure, of course, there's institutional racism. I've said that in the beginning. Racism is everywhere. Is here. Is in the US. Is there. But my own is I'm not saying there's no racism. I'm just saying that we put assumptions and then we also exaggerate, and then we also have this bias that if a white person does this, they will get away. If a black person does this, they will not get away. For every example that you have, if you give me example now and say, okay, look at this case up, right? I would find 3 or 4 cases that the same thing happened to a white person. I will. If you give me one example, you say, okay, look at this so person, this is what happened, this is what they were jailed for. I would find 3 of that same thing that a white person went to jail for it as well. You get? I'm not saying there's no racism.
Do you know the reason for that? It's because they are more than us. So when you talk about numbers, there will always be more. When you look at it deeply, it affects us more.
Exactly. So why don't we just look at it as
you have to look at it from the angle of an endangered species? You know,
who are they? Are blacks endangered?
No. It's just a concept. It's just a concept. Like when you have less, the chances of percentage is a game of numbers, basically. When you talk about 10% of 10, that's 1. But when you talk about 10% of 100, yes, it's higher.
Okay, Nana, let me give you a good scenario now. This you listen to this now. 10 people have gone to like in 10 different occasions. Like 10, one person went to this one, another person to this one. They gone to rob a bank, right? 6 of them are black, 4 of them are white. So what if if you know that if they jail those all of them, that means they've jailed 6 blacks, they've jailed 4 whites. When you now use this your logic, it would add to your style that blacks are going to jail more than this is what we shouldn't be general. It should be okay. Did they go to jail for what they did?
Escapade. If you're looking at that, okay, so now let's say 10 people went to rob a bank, 6 were black, 4 were white. Now, generally,
Mayor, please give me 1 minute. Let me just quickly say something.
Go on.
Yeah. So what I wanted to say since the start of this conversation is that as much as I get where you're coming from, Baby Soft and Escapade, I just want to say that these things that we're talking about, they are real. They are very, very valid. And for good reason too. I think that you guys have a point. I believe you have a point. Let me rephrase that. I believe you guys have a point. But also, I think that trying to make your point, you might come across as being a little dismissive of certain things that are real and very, very true, and real life situations and problems for people. I understand that you're trying to be fair, you are trying to be balanced, right? But the honest truth is that these things are greatly stacked against colored people. No matter how you want to address it, no matter how you want to look at it, that's just what it is for a fact. And Baby Soft, you were talking about not having I'm trying to put it right. Okay, so you were talking about fears being passed down from generations, from parents to children, regarding the fear in Black people about, maybe police brutality, for example, or something. But I want to ask you this question. Do other people, other races have the same fear that Black people have? No. Perhaps not. And that's for a reason as well. I'm just going to drop.
Do you know that the Jews are facing more than what the blacks are facing? Facts.
No, Escapade. No. The Jews didn't face as much as what the Black people face. Because it was in the news. It was more in the news. No. When you look at this time of slavery and what the Black people went through, the Jew did not face 1/10 of it. It's because
I'm saying now, you're talking about slavery. Now. Okay, let's go as far back as slavery. Let's go as far back as let's go as far back as slavery, right?
Let me
Because
wait
this
before you
is the root
divert.
cause. This is
Before
the
you
root cause.
divert,
Nene,
Before we
wait,
even
Nene,
go
1
there,
second.
before
Nene,
we
1
go there,
second.
I just have one question. Before we go
I
to
was going to
slavery,
answer
right?
Nene, but I'll wait.
A teenage boy driving, white, just driving on the road, maybe late at night, perhaps even, high on something, alcohol or whatever. Will they fear for their lives if they were stopped by the cops? And is it the
Let
same?
me put this to that.
Okay.
Yep. Nene, let me answer to this. I have two nephews now in their maybe early 30s, but when they were in their teenage years, their dad bought them brand new, as in Benz, as in not a small Benz, proper Benz, and not for once where they ever stopped driving. And they did everything teenagers did. I think again, it's down to many factors. And if you point at me, I'm not dismissing people's validity or experiences. No, because I have my experiences. But what I keep hammering on is there will always be factors. There will always be factors, because if the Oyinbo children don't feel that kind of thing, okay, if they feel that way, I don't think anybody is drumming it into their heads every day that, oh,
I work within the Met, and my daughter is also a police officer. We're both black, not mixed. So I attend the Metropolitan Police offices daily because I'm a custody practitioner. Right now, we're doing a lot of courses. There's a report last year from Baroness Casey, who was employed by the Metropolitan Police to tackle the racism, like institutional racism within the Met. So before the police approach anyone, they already have their mindset. Even we that are working in there, we're always opposing it. Because although we were, as black people, we are a bit more aggressive, but I would not really call it aggression. It's the way we know how to express ourselves. Especially young adults, male in England. When you look at crime is more committed by young black adults than the white adults. I've got the statistics, and I'm speaking as someone who knows. When there are, if there are 8 young children, like we call people under the age of 18, we used to call them juvenile, but now they're children. If there are 8 children arrested in a day in a typical police station, 5 of them will be black young children and 3 will be white. Not because the police targeted them, but because there's this thing that is very boisterous amongst the, if you arrest a white person, they will be very quiet. They will be subdued. They'll be like, they might still go out. They may well go out tomorrow and do the same thing over again, but they are not in the when they arrest them and they are at the church desk. The black person typically will start screaming, shouting, cursing, abusing the people that arrest them. But the white person will be holding their hands and just saying, okay, I'm sorry, I know I'm wrong. They may well be back within 5 hours, but they are quieter. So that is why when a police officer is arresting a young person who is black, they tend to be more heavy-handed. They tend to go with more force. If they're going to go in for a home arrest in a black household, 8 people minimum will go. If it's a white household, it might just be 2 officers arresting that person and bringing them into custody. So I understand where Baby Soft Life is coming from, or Escapade, but still traditionally, institutionally, they start bias. They start mindset that if we approach this person, they're going to be cursing us, they're going to be fighting us, they may use force, they may do this. And then they are more heavy-handed due to that, because that is traditionally the way we behave. I am black. I am a Nigerian. And I'm telling you from the point. So because of that, there is this, look at Stephen Lawrence's death in 1996. up till now, they're still trying to repair that point. Look at Damile Lola Taylor's death. They did not investigate those deaths like they will investigate a white death. And it is true, it's there, it's in statistics. If you go and look at these things I'm talking about, it's there. I shouldn't be talking about what I don't know because I earn my living from this institution, so I cannot be saying anything against them. From last year, we've been doing courses to address the mindset of racism within the Met. And we're talking about how the approach is totally different. So it's like us and them. Even a black policeman is thinking, if I don't join them to do the right thing, because a black policeman will be the one that they will push to the front. If 8 of them are going and there are maybe 3 blacks and 5 whites going in for an arrest, it will be the black person that will knock the door. It will be the black officer that will put their hand on their black brother first. When they're trying to do restraint and control, it's the black officers that will do it. And I'm still trying to wrap my head around that. It's mind-boggling because the way it is, okay, for example, last week I was in a station and a black boy was arrested. He came into the office because he got arrested 2 days after being discharged from hospital. So what caused his going to the hospital was that he was stabbed. He was stabbed in the groin. He had to be airlifted to the hospital, King's College. And so 2 days after he was discharged, that he was in hospital for 10 days, 2 days after he was discharged, he was arrested for a totally different reason. So now they discovered that they were even looking for him in that thing that happened where he was stabbed. So when he came into my office and I sat him down, he came in crutches, and I asked him what happened. He told me he was stabbed. He was in the news. So I knew immediately that, oh, so you were the one. Anyway, no problem. So I looked at his wound. 20 stitches in the groin. One of the biggest arteries in the body was severed. He had 5 pints of blood. And when he came, I just talked to me. I said, this is the second time you're being stabbed, nearly fatally. I said, you might not survive the third time. And he said, I'm a product of my environment. And I said, what do you mean? He said, I'm a product of my environment. My mother had 6 of us for 5 fathers, and she was not there. My sister got raped at 14, and I became an uncle when I was 12. And one of my brothers is in prison right now. He was 22 years, this guy I'm talking about. He said the guy that was following me is out on the street selling drugs. We only have one sister who was raped at 14, and now I'm an uncle. My niece, she had a girl. My niece is 10 years old. So he was telling me all these things. I looked at him, I said, you're wrong. I know where you live. Live in Woolwich. It's a very, very volatile area. Are you going to tell me that out of that place, there is no one successful? I said, you can make a difference. He said, I don't think so, because there's nowhere for me to go. This is the life I know. And I'm like, he's a Caribbean boy. He said, my mother had us 7 for 5 different fathers. There's a Nigerian, there's 2 white people, there's a Jamaican, and there's an Arab man that fathered the 7 of us. So what do you expect me to turn out to be? I was even kicked out from secondary school. I didn't finish my GCSEs. I tried to go into college. I was an apprentice in, he told me all the things he's done. But I did try. I said, listen, you might not survive the third one. And I know what I'm saying. I just had that feeling that this boy is going to go out and something is going to happen to him. And he now turned to me, he said, Miss, I know you're very clued on and you know what you're talking about. He said, but this is the only life I know. And do you think I got stabbed because I was innocent? He said, I went there to do damage and they were faster than me, but I'm not going to let it lie down. So I said what I could. Then he seems to, by the time he got out of my office, it was a bit like quiet, a bit. So it was a day shift. I left, I went home. I came back to the second morning, and the officer that was with me, because I cannot be with a patient alone, the officer that was with me during that time, who is a black man as well, is from Sierra Leone, said, Miss, the boy that you're talking about, that we were talking to yesterday, I thought if we get something into his call. He has been effing and blinding us all day, abusing everybody. Okay, so the fact is, he was meant to go to court that morning. And when the people that transport to court circle came, they said we would not be able to take him because he was on crutches. So we have to send a special van to pick him to court. This man went ballistic. You know, he was on crutches. He started using his crutches to bang the metal door in his cell and shouting and abusing everyone. I just thought maybe I'll be able to talk sense into him. I went, opened the search, and I said, can I talk to you? He said, I don't want to listen to you. Just go away. You're one of them. They're not. They said they bailed me for the reason I'm here, but the judge wanted to see me for another matter. The van had come and left. They didn't take me. I'm not talking to anyone. I'm going to start behaving like an animal. I'm quoting him verbatim what he said. I'm going to start behaving like an animal, and you won't have a choice but to push me out. I need to go out. Started banging. So they had to go in, heavy-handed, and collected both crushes from him. Then he started screaming, I'm in pain. I'm in pain. I went to him. So what do you want me to do? You've already had your tablet for this morning. I don't care. I said, I can give you more paracetamol. I'm not prescribed paracetamol. I want my pain. He was on codeine. He's already had it. And I said, no, I can't give you any more. It's only been 2 hours since you had the last one. So it was just like, we had like 20 people in custody that day. But this boy, a black 22-year-old, behaved like an ass all morning until they had to go and tell the court to give him a virtual hearing. So he will be he will be in front of a camera with the judge. And that was what we had to do. Otherwise, nobody was going to have any peace. So that example is like my own brother, like my own son. He's even far younger than my children. And how do we talk about that? Is that a good impression? No. Would they treat them separately? Yes, they would treat them differently. But the point is still that thing is there, that bias is there. It may well be caused by the way we behave, by the way we come across, and by the way we put ourselves to them. But it is there. It is real, and it's statistically referenced, proven. Yeah, it is there. And I don't work in the same station with my daughter, but sometimes our paths cross when I have to go and cross cover, or he has to bring someone to my station. And when we go home, it's moved out now. She's just moved out now. But sometimes when we go home, we get home in the evening, we just talk about this. And the point of reference all the time will be our brothers, our young men. See, the knife crime in London, 92% of knife crime is black on black. And when they are talking about people, okay, there's a boy that came into custody yesterday, a 21-year-old, like Somali boy. That boy was kidnapped at 15 here in London. He was kidnapped by drug gang, taken to the north of England, kept in a room where he was cutting drugs. He was kidnapped for 5 days before they eventually rescued him. He had lived with the PTSD up till now. Because of that, he is so fearful. Even talking to you, he's looking behind his back. Even though his back is on the wall, he's still looking to see if someone is there. So, and who kidnapped him? Black people. Our races, our brothers. So I am standing here, I'm like the devil's advocate because I don't know where to stand. I know this thing is happening, but it's because we cause it. It's because we are the architect of our own misfortune in this area. It is happening because we allow it to happen.
Sister Lizzie, it's not
Yes,
just
sis.
the boys, the girls. There was a school I was called into to have like a bit of a high level meeting. Kiloshele, some girls were coming to London to that school, a very good school for that matter. And they had an influx of girls, Dudu, who started coming into, to that school from London. Do you know they had to ban them from one of the stations? Because apparently our children, when they get to the stations, they either drop their bags on people's cars that are parked in the station, or they climb on the cars and start twerking and dancing and doing all sorts of. So they had to ban them from the station. You're doing it. I'm talking about some few years ago. It was so bad that their parents then, to get them to school from London, organized like coaches. So a few parents came together to organize coaches and pay for coaches to bring those children from London and then take them back to London. And because of that issue, it raised eyebrows of Omo Oyinbo in the area. We say, can we not park our cars safely anymore at the station? And it was also incurring gbese to the station, because if people park their cars and they're destroyed, they're getting their money back off the station.
Absolutely.
So to the extent that they now changed, they had to change the Kilongpe, the admission criteria, so that there's a limit on the jurisdiction people who come into that school can come into. Without going too much into detail, but that was what happened in that situation, and it's our own people. Why must a girl get on the car and be twerking and everybody shouting, "Whoa, hey, go Guinea," and they're recording it and putting it online as well? It's nonsense.
God bless your baby soft life.
It's nonsense.
To, like the health town center of places like Bexley's, when the students are out there, they have drafted additional police officers to be there between the hours of 3 o'clock till 5 o'clock, because these people just go ballistic. They are shouting, screaming, chasing themselves, barging into shops, shoplifting. I'm not saying it's just the black children now, but I'm talking you as per the arrest, the type of attitude that we have. I used to live in Thamesmead. I used to live in Thamesmead, sis. When I saw that this is not an area